Actually, you know what's crazy? Imagine if someone told you G2 is going to win back-to-back tournaments and Nico is not going to be the MVP of either.
Crazy. No one would believe you.
The people just
from a different planet.
People just punch you because you're like talking to us like, wake up. What are you saying? You're not from the future. You're just delusional.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on BitSkins.com.
Your game.
Here's a good vibe, here's a good vibe, here's a good vibe, good vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans around the globe, welcome to another edition, another installment, another episode, another chit-chat, another group of guys talking shit about Counter-Strike, episode of HLTV Confirmed. I used episode twice, but this isn't episodes. That's exactly what it is. We do lots of them. There's, you whack them on, there's a season. The season's not going to end. It's just going to keep on going. Anyway, welcome. Quick shout out to the sponsors, N1Bet. Remember to gamble responsibly. BitSkins, if you want to get yourself into some skins, you know where to go. All right, you head over there. You get some skins. It's pretty straightforward. And of course, SteelSeries, they've been in the game for a bloody long time. I think they set the standard with their QCK Heavy. That was one of my most favorite mouse pads to have along my professional career. And well, they've got the best wireless headset in the game. I was talking to Harry about it. He's got it. He's telling me about this little battery thing. You know, when the battery goes out of the headset, there's a little like pocket thing on the Arctis Nova, and you pop it out, and then you pop the other battery in charge, and you got a fresh one in the headset. So you're never out of battery. Never out of battery. And I said, and Harry's a kind of forgetful guy. And Harry said he never even forgets to put the battery in. So that's how easy it is. Anyway, that's SteelSeries, newest sponsor of the show. Anyway, gentlemen, Striker, Prof, I got something I have to admit to the two of you. Lucas, how you doing as well? Hi guys, Lucas here. Prof, I got something I got to admit to you. I got to admit this to you, mate.
Yeah. Did you start another podcast?
No, not another one. This is just the truth, the conversation, I think I've been meaning to get off my chest for some time.
The fact of the matter, as I would say.
Now, Lucas's name is Lucas. Striker's name is Milan. Prof's name, I don't think I've ever tried to say it. It scares me. It intimidates me. And I don't know how to properly say it. I've always just been too embarrassed. You know, I've just been like, I'm this ignorant Australian guy. I don't know how to pronounce this name. It starts with a Z. I don't know how to say it.
I mean, I don't think anyone really attempts that even. Like, I'm actually super surprised when people actually pronounce my name when I meet them. I'm like, well, this guy did his homework. He was on the, what's the name of the app where you can like find all the pronunciations, whatever. It's not Vukaru, it's whatever, something else. I'm like blown away. Most people just call me Z, like Paula does. So that's amazing.
I was just going to say,
or he calls, I
have a story from that where I think it was like maybe like the first time that we met. It's not like how you introduce yourself to me, but somebody else asked you what your name is, and you literally introduced yourself as Z.
Sounds like you're part of the Men in Black, mate. You're out there with Will Smith.
It's not the greatest acronym right now, so that's also troubling I was kind of fucked by this whole like
Well,
global
then
situation.
how do we say it so we can get it right?
I say Zvonimir. Zvonimir.
That's really
but
easy.
It's kind of weird because when I say it, I always had this like English accent because I'm speaking English. But it's But
So say it in yours.
no one actually calls me that. So everyone calls me for short, which would be Zvone, and that's it. Or
Okay.
the Zvone zone.
Well, I feel great. I got this off my chest. It's something that's been troubling me for some time. I never knew which was the appropriate time to bring this up, and I feel that the 15th of February in 2023 was the correct time to learn how to say
After
Zvonimir.
like 5 years of knowing each other
The
and like
morning
4 years of the
after
podcast.
Valentine's Day.
It's the day after Valentine's Day. I've learned your name, so that's fitting. Very fitting indeed, romantic indeed. Now, gentlemen, tonight we're going to be dissecting a lot to do with Katowice and each and every one of the teams there, and some of the ramifications around the teams. We've seen several benchings. I've done this little report card. We will be grading the teams and maybe making some notes that they can take home to their parents, so that they can show their parents and they could say, "Hey, mom and dad, they think we need to change our defaults, or our in-game
or
leader
to their
stuff."
orgs and be like, "Yeah, we need a new player because I got a F- in the HLTV confirmed rating card." So
Now,
it's
don't let
time-
Striker tell you F- isn't a real grade, because we're three dudes on a Wednesday night making report cards about professional Counter-Strike teams. Be whoever you want to be, guys. Give out F- if you want. No one can stop you, and no one ever will. So that's the moral of tonight's story. But before we get there, we have a couple of pieces of recent news that we need to get into. So, Lucas, you know what that means. Make sure you've got your tea, guys. Maybe a hot chocolate. No, it's still cold outside. It's still very cold. So I want everyone to make sure they're feeling warm as we trundle through this evening's information. Now, one of the most important and one of the most key pieces of news, which will not have been presented to all of you, and I understand why. Prof, Striker, Martin, Nomad, everybody, Dimitri, Lucas, they're all trying to keep you guys from the truth. They're going to keep you from the truth. They don't want you to know the truth. And the truth is, I got top 1% in the fantasy team for the playoffs, and they don't want anyone to know about it. They don't want you to know. And look,
what do you think? What do you think is more skillful? 1% in the playoffs or 1% in the groups, where there's a lot more games to play?
Look, man, I don't know. All I know is that I'm second. I'm second in the leaderboard right now.
That is true, but I got top 1% in the groups, and I feel like that's a bigger achievement. And I think like the system is rigged against the people that are doing the strongest, they're doing the best.
Let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this. This like catch up method. It's like complete bullshit. It's
if it was easier to get 1% in the play-ins, how come we didn't get 1% in the play-ins then?
Well,
yeah,
it was just luck.
See, I'm just saying.
Just luck.
Look, man,
there's
I'm
more
just
luck
saying.
involved because
but now we got to do CCT. What is this?
Upsets happen. If you play best of 7. Then only happened once, and flip side one or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, flip side. We used to love them, didn't we? But now we have to do the CCT. It's going to be an interesting event, considering the Lufthansa travel situation. I don't know if everybody made it to Malta. We're going to talk about the CCT tonight, I guess, after we finish talking about all the teams. But that'll be the next fantasy event that we've got going on here. But seriously, for the recent news. Now, Striker, I'm looking to you, mate, for a couple of headlines. Headline reads, Blast RMR qualifiers start. What are my subheadings? Where are we hitting? What are some of the key points that we'd be hitting up here once you read that headline? What are you under? What are you into? What are you feeling?
Let's say there's maybe 2 teams that probably will be standing out in terms of who didn't make it. As far as who made it, it's a lot of kind of like fringe top 30 teams, and some of them a little bit more headline. But the ones that didn't make it, and I think the biggest one that people would kind of miss is Endpoint.
No Endpoint. Mighty Max Tears in the chat. Smooth, you can't believe it. Thomas. Did Thomas make it? Come on now, Tom. I hope Thomas had to have made it.
What's the name of their team?
I saw some UK teams made it.
Right? Into the Breach.
I swear they made it. Didn't Viperino make it as well?
Yeah, Viperino made it, and Into the Breach made it in the same one, I'm pretty sure.
It's okay.
Yeah, they made it.
Just to clarify, I was listening to your podcast as well, and you said Viperino, and I thought it's not actually the name of the team. You know this.
It's a good name, though, right?
It's Viperio. There's no.
But
N.
Viperino is a better name, right?
Viperino sounds.
Tell me, Viperino is not a better name.
It kind of sounds funny. It sounds silly.
Yeah,
I approve of it.
Exactly.
Maybe they can rebrand.
That's what we got to do. We got to call them.
Yeah.
We got to just change team names here. Just Viperino.
Talking about that, can Striker, can you confirm that like Navi, like Natus Vincera, that was like that was kind of co-created by the community?
Actually, it is kind of like an HLTV product. Yeah, I think I don't remember if it was actually or
didn't it
I remember.
I don't remember if
they
it
made
actually
the
came through
team.
us or it was just like something that we kind of like reposted as part of them, and like people could also do it as part of HLTV. But I think it came from like HLTV forums that like in 2000 and like at the end of 2009, where the organization was kind of put together by you know basically like Legendary 5 plus Zero Gravity. And
But
they
why
were
would they
looking for a
name
name,
Navi in
and
the
they
first
were kind of
place,
like
Striker?
saying, I mean, let's give us some ideas. And Navi was actually what they were using, and that comes from Avatar. Like that
Bang.
was the language that they were using, right? But they were actually looking for like a name of the organization, and somebody said like just keep Navi, but it would mean Natus Vincere, which means born to win. You know, everybody knows that at this point. So that apparently that came from HLTV forums.
Yeah, nice little history lesson there. That's true. Not apparently. I was on the forums back in the days when that used to go on. That's how old I am. I'll gladly admit that. So I saw that the North American side was getting a little bit of negative press, but it seemed like with the European side things were okay, right? There was some delays to get started, but all in all, like the results, like they didn't feel like there were too many delays or anything with it. They were using that. Is it Challenger mode?
Yeah.
I was tuning into
Surprisingly
Demons.
for that being kind of like a new system, it ran okay. I kind of expected like a nightmarish first day, and like same thing as always happens with like FaZe and ESCA, you know, like all these mega big qualifiers that just like always run into some sort of a problem where one match just delays everybody by 5 hours or whatever. That actually didn't happen so much in this one. Like we actually finished, I think, just after midnight for the first one, and then like maybe around midnight for the second one, which is, you know, I know it's maybe not ideal for everybody, but it's definitely better than like some of the qualifiers we had before, but we ended at like 2, 3 a.m. or some shit.
Yeah, there were some delays, but I think it was kept to like an hour or two at most, right? Because when I was shooting in some streamers and they definitely weren't in the server like immediately, but you're saying, it didn't seem like anything catastrophic. And considering a lot of those opening games, like you just look at the results on HLTV because you guys had the live feed going, and a lot of them would be like 16-0s or stomps, right? And it's just people like, you know, some of our listeners or, you know, me and Harry and Hugo, for example, signing up and getting fucking smashed by people who know what they're doing. So as far as that goes, it's pretty good. But they also announced like who the teams were going to be, right, for the RMRs, for the open qualifier. Sorry, wasn't that they did announce that? Yeah, sorry, we're doing the open qualifier now, the closed qualifier. They announced that information, which was good to see. So we already had some teams locked in and able to skip, and that's off of the ranking that Volvo are doing, right? In case people aren't too certain about that, but that should be kicking off soon, right? I'm pretty sure the G2 boys have to play that pretty shortly. So
starts tomorrow,
16th of Feb, isn't it?
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
that starts. Yeah.
So we're gonna have teams like G2 Astralis, Saw, Nine, Flames, Havu, Ikla, One Win. One Win just announced a new team, so they're in one of them, and then we've got the other one, which is OG, which we know now Nexa is taking some time off. They've got Nico taking his spot, Aurora, Fours, Gamer Legion, Monty, Falcons, Apex, and Illumina, and then the other 16 teams who are qualifying over these last couple of qualifying matches.
You wanna kind of talk about those situations specifically? I mean, you mentioned that One Winner going in with a new team, and I mean that's, you know, let's say kind of skirting the system because they literally changed the roster right after they got the invite, but the invite was based on the old roster, which, you know, only has 2 players left out of the you know, the one that is new with Boomich, Nickelback, and Forrester, or maybe Forrester was part of that as well at the time because he kind of joined maybe a couple of weeks ago. But they did get the invite based on basically a different core, which, you know, obviously is not ideal. You know, that they probably would have been supposed to come from the open qualifiers, so they kind of skipped on that. Definitely not an ideal situation, and there's more like that in the, I think, one of the other ones. I think the Asian one, yeah, and there's also like Nixa, who doesn't even have a team and things like that. Like some of these things that will only come out maybe over the next couple of days, like before the Asia part starts. So I'm just curious about how this is going to get resolved. And honestly, but obviously, like, yeah, go ahead.
It probably won't get resolved.
Yeah,
it'll just be okay.
In some ways, like it doesn't really matter that much since you still need to qualify through, right?
I think it does matter. I think we should never be like throwing away the core 3 rule, right? Like, isn't that's kind of what Counter-Strike's been built on for a very long time.
I agree. The core 3 should be there, but yeah, and at the same time, they still need to play the close qualifier, and make it through, right? Otherwise, it doesn't really mean anything. And for a team like OneWin, like their team now is probably better than it was before.
Yeah.
So from a reasonable standpoint, it's
Like a merit
fine, but
standpoint, I
it's
suppose,
not
yeah.
like for a general rule, it's not
They're
amazing.
not worse. They didn't have their players
Yeah.
poached and still have the position or some shit.
I know
right?
there's
And
also
gonna...
like there was some like uproar because of a HSG being invited, like on the
female
list
team,
to
right?
be
Yeah.
invited, the women's team, but there was like I think they just declined the invite and went further on. And I guess that's kind of fine in a way. Like some of these things are just gonna fix themselves since there is a team that doesn't exist, and they're just gonna invite someone from the open qualifier and move on with everything. So it's okay, not ideal, but it's like I'd wish the core 3 just sticked around, and then if you make other changes, it's fine.
Yep, fair enough. Well, did you see Kyojin's team?
Yeah,
Looks
they
like
made it.
They fucking made it, which is insane because French Counter-Strike, a lot of the teams didn't make it. And it's kind of crazy that they're the ones who were able to get through.
Fits.
LDLC made it through as well, right?
They beat Sinners in the qualifying game, yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple of these names like, and Heat made it as well.
The Kyojin team, when you go on their profile, it's so funny because you see like 2 LDLC jerseys, a Falcons jersey. What is this? I don't even recognize this jersey. Heretics? Oh, that was a while ago. And
rolling by the clock, mate.
Bro, what the? I have no idea what this team is. I have no idea what this team is.
Well, it's a team that qualified. Well, a team that qualified for the closed qualifier, right? So of that, we know we need to get a couple more names locked in for the RMR. I guess we can keep track on this, but I haven't been watching too many of these matches. But the closed qualifier, I'm definitely going to watch. The open stuff, I was like, well, I'll let that one slide. I don't know. I guess there's not really too much more for us to touch regarding the RMRs until teams qualify, right? So we'll have that going down the next couple of days.
Get Right team didn't make it through. Smuya's Warriors didn't make it through.
Olaf wasn't allowed to play. You guys saw that? I didn't investigate why. I just thought he was going to go spend some time with his missus on Valentine's, right? I didn't. But the people were saying he wasn't. No, he actually wasn't able to play.
It was because of the FaZe contract, I think, or something.
I did read that, but I didn't search it out. I didn't bother going, hey, what's the, because it didn't feel like the most pertinent piece of news. But yeah, Note says yes, and everyone's putting hashtag free Olaf. So this is the same thing that happened, at the start of the year. But I guess this is a Valve situation. Striker, do you know anything about this?
Not more details than you guys just already said. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe more will come to light. Apparently, it didn't. Garrett says it's due to his it was due to his contract. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, fair enough.
It is what
we
it
know
is.
they weren't really a serious prospect anyway, so we don't need to linger too long on this whole conversation point. So we're going to touch on like Big with Sirison and Valder and Zypher and all that kind of stuff. But we'll do that later when we're doing these report cards, because all of these teams we're going to touch on. So we can touch on everything in that universe around these teams as we move forward, like the same as the Nexa with the OG thing. So we will get to those. It just won't be a part of recent news. Just think if there was anything else that, I guess the OneWin signing, right? I guess we could talk about those players, Boomich, Nickelback, Forrester, Deco, and Travis. So I think that's kind of exciting because, well, we're thinking this Deco kid's a bit of a prospect. Forrester, pretty damn good as well. Boomich back in the server, but that's interesting. I guess, who do you think is going to be calling? Because wasn't Nickelback calling for his previous team in Tropic, right?
Yeah, I mean, it should be, as far as everybody knows, this has always been called like the Boomich team. It's like it's been built around him. He was kind of apparently the guy who had a lot of say over like what the lineup would be and stuff like that. So it seems like Nickelback is kind of like a final piece. It doesn't makes a lot of sense to me because in the CIS scene you probably have a lot of different prospects that could probably take his place. I'm not sure if the players that they were looking at otherwise didn't say yes, or what else kind of like made them go for another IGL, rather than somebody who's maybe...
People in chat are saying Nickelback is in-game leader. So, yeah,
okay.
Look, I'm taking their word for it.
I'm going to see if I can find out.
If it frees up
I was looking through it, and I didn't see any reference because like I was trying to find out for this announcement, but I didn't see that.
But if it frees up Boomich, right, you consider his arc, right? He was kind of brought in to do this in-game leader job, right? So maybe it's not something that he wants to do. Maybe he's happy being like a second voice within the team. See what he can, like, because... he was doing all the in-game leader jobs, buying a fucking MP9, being an in-game leader. It's a hard life out there, but someone's got to do it. And now he doesn't have to. So, you can solve that problem by giving it to someone else. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, he obviously hasn't been an in-game leader for very long. He only took over from Zeus was 2019, right? when Zeus retired, and so I mean, and before that, it never seemed like he was going to be like an in-game leader until he came into Navi, and that was kind of like the whole makes So I guess it makes sense to some degree, you know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, interesting to see. We get to see him playing in a couple of days' time, so that'll be we're getting that one underway pretty quickly. I'm just scrolling through CCT. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Most of this other stuff that's come out in the news is to do with Katowice, right? Other than really the ESO impact with Nigma Galaxy winning again. They took on FURIA and beat them in the semifinals, where they normally beat them in the finals, and that was due to an upset in the group stage play. So they're still winning all the trophies. So that's cool. They're picking up where they left off from last year.
I was actually watching a bit of the last day and the first day as well, and it was much more contested than like previous
you think it was closer?
Previous tournaments in terms of like, yeah, both Navi and FURIA. The FURIA game was like very super giga close. So that was interesting. And I actually did the interview with Vilga at the end of the tournament, and she said that they were kind of burnt out because they boot camp for 3 weeks essentially since the award show until Katowice. They were just on a boot camp, and they got there and it's like it didn't feel, you know, as it normally felt at events where everyone's like on point. So that was kind of a learning experience for them in a way. And I think they said this was essentially the opportunity for other teams to upset them, and if they didn't upset them now, it's going to be farming for the rest of the year. That's kind of how I understood it. But we'll see. It's I think it's pretty chill, pretty exciting to watch those games, and it's pretty nice the setup that they had at the expo. There was like people there watching all the time, so it was like a nice atmosphere and everything. So
Hold up, one actual HLTV confirmed moment here. Hooch confirms that Nickel is the HL.
There you go. All right,
there you go.
I confirmed, properly confirmed.
Actually confirmed.
We've finally confirmed something. That'll be it. Good night, everybody. The show has finally reached its purpose. We've been coming here to you for week after week, for year after year, just to confirm something. And now that it has been confirmed, that'll be the end. But seriously, because my joke's not landing right now, let's jump into this quiz. You guys want to get into the quiz? We're quizzing. We're feeling quizzy. All right, let's get a bit quizzical. We're going to get to Skinionaire. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, maybe you're new to the show. Maybe you haven't participated in a Skinionaire before. Well, for you listening live, I need you to type BitSkins in chat right now. You can enter the draw. It's your raffle ticket. You get a chance to win, well, whatever we're able to pull off here. Mr. Prof, Zvonimir, that's his name. He's been able to do a bit of a quiz for us this evening. 5 questions, multiple choice. Me and Striker, we're going to work in tandem. If we can get this one done, we might be able to win you a $50 skin. If we can't,
if you answer all 5, you're going to have a 6th bonus question.
Okay.
Coming your way.
All right. I like a bonus question. All right. Let's get stuck into this here this evening. Who wants to be a Skinionaire? Brought to you by BitSkins. Question number 1. Who was the highest rated player at ESO Impact Katowice? Was it Anna, Olga, or Vilga?
Putting you on the spot right there,
here, man.
Putting you on the spot right there.
Part of me wants to go with Anna.
I mean, that would be the obvious answer, yeah.
But that's why I think it's not the correct answer.
That's a good way of thinking. You know me too well, Chad.
I don't think it was Vilga, so I would say Olga. Olga had like a fucking massive map at some point, so I'd just go with that.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Like have the most ADR.
I like it, Lucas. Good chip in. I've gone with it. I believe in here. Our 3 heads together. Is it good enough to get the correct answer for number 1? Yes. All right, we've done it. All right. Curveball out the gates here. Let's get into question number 2. First CSGO players to win back-to-back Katowice events. JKS, fnatic, simple. The first CSGO players. IEM Katowices, it would have been fnatic. But not in CSGO. So if we're... in CSGO, yes. But if we're talking IEM,
it's not
wasn't fnatic.
IEM, just
okay,
Katowice.
Well, then it was CSGO. fnatic. I'm locking it in. Fnatic, correct answer. I knew that one. Bang. He was the first to do it back-to-back with 2 different teams. That one was quite simple.
Yeah. That small part of information kind of got lost on some people. I feel like it was
15
like
and 16 then, right? It must be.
Yeah.
15 and 16.
It was like the 4 players, and then Dennis and Pronex were on and off.
All right, back with question number 3.
Someone just wrote fnatic is a player. and I'm just upset now because unreasonably upset because they am I
They're right.
supposed to put four fucking players in
Hey,
a
you're
box
chewing
that's
into
this
my
big?
time, motherfucker. All right, let me
Okay,
read.
go
Let
for
me.
it.
We've already lost 10 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
What is the name of the player that was banned in the NARMR qual? Pot, Mary Jane, or Ganja? I think it was Pot. I think it was Pot.
I think I heard pot as well.
I'm gonna lock in a Pot.
Don't say it too many times because we're gonna get demonetized on YouTube.
Oh dear.
What
All
are we,
right.
Mary Jane?
Yeah, you're Herb. I think you have to call it Herb on YouTube. Question number 4. Alu just qualified for the RMR closed qualifier. Jesus. What was the last major he played? This terminology is fucking with me. RMR closed qualifier.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's not Katowice 2020 because
Berlin
that's not a
2019,
major.
right? With ENCE.
I mean,
When they in the semi-final, and then they got rid of Alexi. They're in the final at the start of the year, right?
yeah, it's got to be. Yeah,
And
it's
then-
gotta, I think you're right. I think you're spot on.
But did he make it with ENCE to the second major of the year?
That's what I'm kind of like. I'm super hazy on like when Alu was part of this team, but
Because they got rid of
think you're
Alexi
right.
first, right?
Huh?
Like they got rid of Alexi. I feel it. I don't know. This is another
I
trick.
think it's 20. I think it's what you said. I
Berlin?
think it's Berlin 2019.
All right, locking in Berlin. Maybe it's not Berlin. Correct answer is. Oh,
we go. I just like, I was like, was Alu even part of that team?
And I don't even remember
Just
what the
completely
system was back
confused.
then. Did we still carry like 8 teams across back then? It feels like a
same. It's
fucking
been the same
lifetime
forever
ago, man.
for fucking ever, man.
Yeah, but we don't do that anymore. We don't carry 8 legend teams across anymore.
Oh, wait, like
Oh.
that, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's been only, well, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
That's the thing I fucking forget. It's that long ago. All right, question number 5. Hooch and Boomich played together in which team? EPG, Entropic, or QBF? I think it was EPG.
Well, Hooch wasn't in QBF, so I would say it must be EPG, yeah, because I don't think, I mean, first of all,
This
Hooch
was
didn't even play.
pre-Entropic, because Entropic
Yeah, I mean-
came after Boomich was already
Yeah, Hooch
Spoken
didn't even
for.
play in Entropic, and only Boomich was in QBF.
EPG. We're locking
I
it
would
in.
say QBF.
Locking in
EPG, sorry.
EPG. Correct answer. EPG. 5 from 5. All right.
For
Some
five. Bonus
interesting
question.
ones in there. Some interesting ones. What's the bonus question?
Yeah, there's a bonus question, but there's no ABC,
Okay.
Just go ahead.
and it's a dangerous question. This is the question. Are you ready?
Ready?
I'm ready.
The question is, everybody's asking this. Where is the Hall of Heroes? Where
Chad
is
is
it?
going to be absolutely lost because he doesn't know that this is an internal joke.
Is it a joke or is it the question
I don't even
that everyone wants to know?
The Hall of Heroes is in here, Prof.
Yes.
The Hall
Yeah.
of
Good
Heroes is
answer.
in here.
That is a good answer.
Is it the
Do-
correct answer?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Apparently, it's not a place.
It's not a place.
Concept.
It's a feeling. Yeah.
It's a concept.
Yeah. It lives in our
But
hearts
then
and our minds.
This is my problem because the winner is Sexy Slav, so I won the award. Let's go.
The
Great
winner
skin for me.
actually is Sexy Slav. SEXYYSLAV, following since the 21st of September 2020. So, long time
This
listener,
is the
first time
question.
winner.
This is just the question I have about the Hall of Heroes while we're still talking about it because someone brought it up, not me, of course. If you win Katowice, you enter the Hall of Heroes.
I think so.
But then also when you're walking into the spodek, there's like signs that say "Welcome to the Hall of Heroes." Then
But
it
I
feels
don't
like
think-
I'm in the Hall of Heroes.
But you're not
I'm
embedded as a hero. You're in the
Yeah.
hall, but you're not a hero of the hall.
just visiting the Hall of Heroes. I'm not
Exactly.
like a permanent resident. Of the Hall
Yeah,
of
you
Heroes.
you've earned temporary entrance into the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah,
Thanks to
yeah.
the heroes' good graces.
Yeah,
The
and
heroes
it only
have
happens
allowed you
once a
in.
year, and it's in
Yeah.
Katowice, but it's not a specific place. It's just kind of everywhere and nowhere.
Yeah, again, it
It's
lives
not
in
the
our
group.
hearts and our minds.
Yeah, there are some details there to be worked out. I'm pretty sure the side, like the discourse around it, was a bit confusing at points. So I've talked to people. I've asked around, and people
Any of the
also
heroes?
expected
You
it
talk
to
to any
be
of the heroes of the hall?
no, no, actually.
Well, maybe you should have spoken to a hero. They could have given you the rundown.
I think I did talk to JKS, but maybe I can't remember.
Was he a
that
hero
first.
when you spoke to him, or was he? Oh shit, he
He's
would have
a
been a
two-time
hero.
hero.
Or he's a
Yeah, no, he's
he's a
two-time.
double hero. Wow, does that mean he has like
Yeah.
2 sets of powers? Like
I don't know.
he can do the world's fastest shoey and
I mean,
break glass when he smiles or something. I don't know. What's his powers?
He's a super stand-in. That's one of his powers. And then he's a super anchor.
Yeah. All right. I like that. Well, yeah. Congratulations to Sexy Slav. This was Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to you by BitSkins. And now we're going to make a bit of a transition here. Now, this N1 moment, we can save this for when we do start talking about G2, I think.
Yeah.
I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
So I've done up these little report cards, everybody, for Katowice, and we're going to be going through all the teams here, and we'll be giving them a grade. And we'll be making some notes about them that we can send home to their organization so they can look at some of these notes right here. Now, Lucas has been given the link to this Google slide. You guys also have the link in TeamSpeak if you want. And we're going to go through. Now, this is just the first slide, everybody. This one here is just showing some of the stats of the play-ins and the main event. Sorry, not the main event. The group stage and the playoffs. Sorry, the play-ins and the group stage and the playoffs. Got to get the terminology right. We're in the Hall of Heroes. So let's just take a look at some of the information here that is being provided to you on slide number 1. You can see that Inferno was a fucking popular map, but is fucking T-sided.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Yeah.
It's T-sided. There's a lot of T-sided maps going on there.
To be fair.
Anubis, Ancient, Inferno, Mirage, only just. So Mirage, maybe we don't count. Vertigo. Mate, take a look at some of my ES Portal games and Face It games recently. I'll tell you, Vertigo, that map is fucked on the CT side, man.
Like it's hard, or what do you mean?
Well, we just suck. But yeah, we've been getting wrecked. We've been getting wrecked.
I mean, all these maps are pretty much 8-7. Like nothing concerning or anything like that. You know, that there would be like a 9-6 half or whatever, like consistently. So I think this is a good place to be honest.
But we knew there'd be impact, right, of the M4 change, obviously costing more money. So when you're saving with 2900, you're not going to everyone's not going to have like a super strong M4. We knew they were going to have some issues. I think as well on the T sides, all the top teams know how to use their utility really well to get things like banana control quite easily. Right. So you're always going to get banana control on the T side if you're using like correct combinations and not just fucking all leaning through smokes. So you're able to apply a lot of pressure. Top mid control seems easier now than ever. CTs feel like they're having to go for gamble stacks or like info plays and try and search out kills or hope for timings to lock you down. So I can see it with Inferno. Ancient's still growing. I think Anubis is interesting, right? This was only our second event with us seeing it played. So, third event, sorry. With it being played. So there's a couple of bits and bobs, but I was surprised to see more silencer usage than A4 usage. But I will say that the best team in the world mainly uses the A4. So what do you make of that?
I think that's been just an interesting development that like basically happened over the break, because already at the spring grips it kind of shifted towards the silencer, and then now it's actually shifted even a little bit more, where it's kind of like 15 to 10% or something, right? Or 15 and 10%, I should say. So I don't know what to make of it. I think that so far says that, I mean, the balance is pretty good. Obviously, you know, at some point, like it always happens that at some point, like it just shifts one way completely, you know, like where like there's going to be a consensus and everybody just like sticks to that, you know. I feel like there's no way that they are just that well balanced.
I feel that it makes sense to have like a couple of players with A4 and then maybe like 1 or 2 with the silenced, especially like the AWP or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's obviously some maps where it's more beneficial than others. And I think if you have it, so like the way that Stown used it a couple of times when his team were on like a light buy, he had enough, would buy a silenced M4 and like armor, and he would use then get 2 kills, and then everyone else with like light upgraded pistols or whatever would still be able to convert around like that because he got a multi-kill. So you can see a bit of utility now and a bit more thought into some of these guns, and it's more interesting decisions to be made for the economy. It's also meaning that the game is less like CT-sided. That feels like there's a lot less smoke spam. Still smoke spam, of course. People know those lineups and stuff, but that doesn't feel like as much of a fixture. Yeah. I think, interestingly, with the map pool, like Ancient, Vertigo, and Anubis being the bottom 3, obviously why we've just seen a big uptick in Overpass. Like Overpass felt like it was getting an awful lot of play, where this is eye test. I'd have to check the stats, but the last couple of events before it, didn't feel like as much Overpass.
For sure. It was
100%.
I remember checking it, and the Overpass was at the bottom for sure. Yeah.
So that's like an interesting development of where we're at the meta at the moment. Maybe teams aren't super comfortable picking Anubis just yet because they didn't know how teams were going to perform on that map. So there's a question mark. I think new Ancient, even though it was played a little bit, I think it plays better than the old version, without a doubt. I think it plays really quite nicely.
Feel any difference?
Really?
Honestly.
It's
I like the retakes on. I like the retakes on A, right? I always B. That's B because of the like the opened up like lane from CT to kind of a ramp, right? I think that's something that I've actually noticed, like watching the games, that people do retakes more because they have like it's much less cramped, I guess. and you can there's just a much better entry and just like a much better rotation for the CTs.
It used to be before as well with the timings. You could have like B ramp and cave, and now as a CT, even if you're playing 3B, you still kind of have to choose. Like, do you want to fight cave? And if you're going to play for ramp, you got to play at the top, and you got to do like a lot of flash peaks. The timing of your util, you have to condition with like triple HEs in case they go for full in rushes. Otherwise, they'll just beat your flames and they'll push in, and you just get fucking snowballed. I think there's less dependence on CTs just going full aggressive mid now because of the timing. You can't just run out. G2 were doing something in the final where Hunter and I don't know if it was Hunter and JKS or whoever, like 2 A guys, and they were changing it up because I know the setup is JKS at A, but they were changing it up with spawns. I think Monacy was there one round, push donut, and the A player flashes over mid, and the donut guys swing out as the T's are swinging out mid, and you kind of catch them flash and you fight them there. They were bringing that into play. So some developments on Ancient as well, which were cool to see. But overall, you know, the only shit that I don't know, just Inferno getting so much. That's the only thing that really sticks out here to me.
It's not ideal for me. The worst part about Inferno is not like, okay, it's becoming more T-sided, but it's more like how it plays out, and that the retakes are so awful really hard, on both sides. Like, it's very hard to retake anything, and it's hard to hold because it's hard to hold anything against like good drilled T-sides now. And then when you go into the 3v3s, even 2v3s, it's fucking impossible to retake. Like, both, not impossible, but like a 2v3, if the two Ts versus 3 CTs, I feel like it's 75% for the Ts, even though they're in a disadvantage in terms of the people, unless it's like super one-sided in terms of the utility or the health or whatever. Especially if one of the Ts has an op, then it's kind of fucked. And that's why it's annoying to watch the most times. That's why like people trash Mirage, but like that retakeability of both sides on Mirage is so much better. Like, maybe if it's super fast, you can't go for it, but still, if it's a 2v3 on B on Mirage, you can probably go for that retake. You might lose it, but you're gonna go for it most of the time. On Inferno, like, especially if it's Jame playing, then you don't really see any action. And that's
we had Harry's like looking into this is Narrow, the guy who does a lot of the stats articles and really like super insightful stuff. He's working on an article about kind of like the saving meta, and he looked into like how maps differ. Inferno's like unsurprisingly by far the most save heavy map of all of them. I think it was 12 saves per half on average, and like the second map was like 9 or something. 9 saves per, not rounds where people saved, but 12 saved blood, like let's say weapons, you know, like 12 people saved per half, you know, like on Inferno.
I know it's the right call.
That's an average number, you know.
But if anybody's looking for any rounds to back this up, like, and I know this was the right call, right? I know they had lots of sight. I know they gambled, but the Outsiders versus Navi Inferno CT pistol for Navi, and Outsiders just like apps pop, they kill simple, and then 9 players are alive at the end of the pistol round. Yeah. Like, that's when you're like, okay.
Yeah. Even on a pistol is fucking Jesus Christ. You're saving like $300. Fuck off with that.
That was the question from Vu on Twitter, which was like, would you rather let the T's like let the bomb explode, or would you rather die to not give them the extra money, you know, just to save one armor or whatever it is, you know, that you have? And I mean, like, logically it should be that you should die because T's get more money than you lose, but then again, you will have a better chance to maybe force in the second round and then turn it around, you know. So there's
so little money. You have so little money that like $500 makes a difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just get free like helmet upgrade for 350.
Yeah,
right?
but
so, like,
I don't prescribe to this whole like negativity about the meta in general. I feel like it's more like specifically
it's
an Inferno thing that needs to be adjusted a bit.
And some play styles.
I mean,
it is more predominant than others.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, if you look at G2, I think that is the most refreshing thing about them, and even FaZe and like some of these teams
for rounds.
They will just go for rounds that. Like, I think that G2 are actually, like, part of those stats that Harry was looking into, G2 are actually one of the least saving teams because they will just go for a lot of these kind of like edge cases, you know, where Outsiders would just immediately save, like, without any question, you know, it would be an instant decision. There would be like, G2 will be at least searching for a while before they give it up, or they would just like straight up go for it because they're just that type of a team, you know? So that is kind of refreshing about like the teams that are kind of on top at the moment, that, you know, it's not just like the super like percentage CS meta at the moment. You know, there's definitely a lot of variety.
Anything else we want to talk about with the overall meta of any maps or anything in particular before we get into? Did you guys like Anubis from the games you watched? What did you make of the most recent map pool? Now that we've had in 3 tournaments, it had a decent amount of play. I think it had, what does my graphic here say? It had 13 games over the play-ins and the group stage.
What are you asking about?
Anubis, how'd you feel about it?
I think it's a fun map to watch.
It fits, right? It just fits.
Yeah. Just works. Doesn't feel weird in any way. Like kind of, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. I don't have any like super weird rounds. It's like, oh, why are you losing this round? It just seems like a normal map. You get map control. You have a quick hit. You rotate. You fake out people. It just feels like a normal CS map.
I think the thing that will grow now, because we have a pretty established way of the T's playing, is CTs with different like micro moves to go for like info picks or plays. Right? There's simple stuff like flashing out B main and taking that fight towards ruins or whatever. Sure, I think we'll see more smokes come into the meta that like drop in canal so you can disrespect and maybe take some fights from that. We call it dark, and take some fights down to water and stuff. I know those smokes already exist, but I think teams will have to be more creative with the timings and how they use those. Because the T's, if they get all that map control, you could see in a lot of the games, once they had mid control, they could just isolate these A splits. And if you're getting split on A, it's pretty fucking hard. So I'm interested to see how that continues to develop.
It just feels like a very simple map, kind of like an old school map, where it's not like, let's say Vertigo had the like inevitable problem of like smoke spams all the time, because like every retake is like you have to go through smokes. And Ancient had the same problem in terms of like all the B retakes were just like spamming through cave and like trying to catch off the bomb, which is fucking annoying, to watch all the time, because it's literally what happens every round when you're in that site, right? And Anubis, you just don't have those situations happen. Like it is very pure. There's no like super stupid angles like through wall bangs, like any of the entry points. You can't really wall bang in like a specific spot or anything like that. It is very pure in that sense. I like it from that perspective.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it develops a little bit more. Let's jump into the slides now, gentlemen. Lucas, if you can go all the way down the bottom, and we'll start with slide number 25, and we're going to work our way back up the list here. So we're going to go through every single team, and we'll use these as a couple of talking points here because there's been roster changes, teams have been benched. That's the first slide, Lucas. Thank you. All right, 25, we made it. Now we'll be starting with Pain. They came 21st to 24th, so that means they're eliminated first within the in the play-ins. They played against IHC and ENCE. They only played 3 maps, Vertigo, Nuke, and Inferno. They didn't win a single map. And PKL now has taken some time off, and Neckers has rejoined the roster. We saw Zevi and Skulls in the team now. They've been there. I think they've played like 60 plus maps or whatever at this point. So Pain, do we have any notes for Pain? Or do we just want to give them a grade, gentlemen?
I mean, it has to be an F, right? Just because they just didn't even look competitive. I think the only competitive map that they looked at was against IHC, and obviously, IHC, as much as they surprised further on, like it would have been a team that I at least expected Pain to put up a fight against. So
you just want to give them an F, just straight out the gates.
I really do, because I don't see anything passing in that performance. They didn't look competitive against ENCE. They basically didn't look too competitive against IHC. And those were not the hardest teams whatsoever, So for a team that's obviously looking to kind of get that like one good result that will kind of propel them further, that's just didn't happen.
A hard F, Prof. Are you feeling the F?
I can't argue against it.
All right. Well, let me give them
really big F.
The foul grade.
That was a really big fuck you F.
They just got an F.
Yeah. No.
Okay. No.
It's not even
it's
not even like F, but with potential. It's
it's
there's
just
nothing there.
They don't even get any notes. There's nothing like, hey guys.
No,
I mean, there's
like just
goals you were expecting to do a bit more, like to have some impact, because he seemed like an up and coming opera. That didn't really happen. PKL, as you have in that, like was their highest rated player and like the only one above 1.0. Nobody else really had any big standout maps. So that's kind of my point. Nothing. There's no redeeming quality about how Pain played.
I mean, even this, like the note that you put in, like PKL benched, literally best performer. I mean, he's not benched. He left because of personal reasons.
Well, he's not playing, so he's on the bench right now.
Yeah, and he has a lot of problems according to the article that we put out. So that's even worse. It's not even like we're benching our shittest performers. Now we're going to expect something to happen. It was just very, very bad.
Okay, well they've got an F here. All right, Lucas, let's move to slide number 24, please. We're going to be talking about EG. Their opponents were Sprout and Fnatic here. They 0 wins, 3 losses, 21st to 24th place. They play Mirage, Inferno, and Ancient. As mentioned, they didn't win a single map. The best of 3 was against Sprout. The best of 1 was against Fnatic. And yeah, do we Wiz?
I mean, yeah. I guess
wanna
it
give it
is
an
an
F?
F. I guess it is an F.
They're not giving them a D. They could get a D.
The thing is, like, they
No,
were in a
it's-
position to
no,
win both
what the
games, but I
fuck?
would say no. Like,
Based on what can they get a D?
You guys want to give them an F? You guys are really mean.
Based on what?
They're
Okay,
from a small region, man. They're
explain
trying
it.
hard.
Don't fucking troll me.
Can't we
man.
have a bit
You
of
ca-
pity for
the
these
problem
guys,
is
man?
If you're gonna take the devil's advocate, at least like do it properly. Don't
Doing it
fucking
from a
troll me.
I'm being sympathetic. I'm showing some empathy to my fellow human, you know? They're getting so much flack. Leave EG alone, bro.
nah. The problem is, like, okay, can we just say one thing? They were in a position to win all. Wait, I don't remember the. No, not the one against Fnatic, but both the maps against Sprout. They were like, I think 14-11 on Ancient, and then
they
they
had
were
some
like,
good signs.
wait, what was it? I have to check back because I know it was 2 big leads and like 2 winning positions that they lost
That's
against
even
Sprout.
worse.
And that's
That's
what
even
that's what I
worse.
was.
Yeah, but they
about to
beat
get into.
Heroic, man. Step outside of the echo chamber.
But that was in the, that doesn't relate to this event whatsoever, you know. So let's that's as if
This
that
is
didn't
like
happen.
I'm
like,
good at math. Give me a C in
yeah,
biology.
they're 12-5 on the second map. So 14-11 on Ancient and then 12-5 on CT side of Mirage that they gave up.
Heroics in chat.
But what about a D minus? What about a D minus? Because boys, I feel like they're a
Based
good,
on
just
what?
listen.
Like, they
just
have
listen.
0 players with.
I need you to listen to me, all right? I need you to listen to me, okay? You know, they
Make
come
your
to class.
case.
They come to class every day. They're at class every day, right? They're trying hard.
But
They're
that's
good
like private
boys.
school, you know. They're paid to be there.
They're good boys and they're trying hard. All right. They're rocking up every day. They're there. We're not seeing the results yet. But Prof, do you think if we give these kids a fail, that they're going to want to come back and try again next semester? Do you think they're going to want to get out of bed in the morning?
I don't care.
I mean,
I don't
if,
care,
man.
man.
look,
I actually don't.
you guys, you should look back.
I don't want people in my class pulling down the average, fucking demotivating everyone else because we're just like gifting grades here. You got to earn it.
I just wanted to give him a D. I just wanted to give him a D minus. I didn't even want to give Payne an F. I thought I wanted to give Payne a D minus as well, you know, because they're showing up, boys. You know, they're
Man,
not.
Give him an
you're
F
too nice.
plus. Can we give him an F plus?
I don't know if we.
Do
Let
we
me
have
see
an
if we
F
can
plus
give him
or
an
no?
F plus. Let me check Google Images.
I don't
Where I
think,
do
I
all
don't
my
think
best
such a
work.
thing exists. I think
Let me work. Well, there is an F plus here. We can give him an F plus.
Look,
It's
look
still a
what
fail,
happened
man.
to D2. Like
No.
last major, they failed. They didn't even qualify. Look, if you just gave them a big fat F, they lost all the motivation and they changed
no, bro.
the whole
They
roster.
did get they would have gotten the big fat F and they would have accepted it and they were like, "Fuck this! Like we're not accepting
Nah,
that."
you,
Like
you gotta. Don't
no,
be
no,
mean.
no, no. You
I
have
just
to, you
I
have
just
to.
want to put
There
it.
you
I
go.
just want to put it down. Hold up here for notes.
At least they didn't get entirely
Chad,
destroyed by Sprout. It's like a
Nice
plus.
Australian man gave you a D minus. Okay, I just want to put that in here
So,
because
like averages out like 2 Fs out of D minus is at F plus. All right.
I just want the record to show that the nice Australian man gave them a D minus. I didn't give them an F. Do you guys have any notes here that you want EG to take home to GamerDoc? Do you have any notes you want to take?
Note, get good. That's a note. No, honestly, really, the way that they lost those games, so fucking. It's giga disappointing, honestly. And then they went on to continue their losing streak in the IEM
Prof is
qualifier,
giga.
and they also lost to Anonymous after that. So it's like
Giga
it's
sad
not like this
about it.
was an off moment.
Oh yeah, they went into CCT right after
Yeah.
and lost.
They lost to Anonymous and they lost to ATK.
Right.
All right. Fine.
No, Illuminar, not anymore.
What
Whatever.
about? I thought Wiz, he had some moments. He was starting to have some moments. Hex was
Bro,
Hex.
honestly,
Hex was wait.
we need to move on. If you want
hold
to
up.
talk about this for one more second,
Wait.
Jesus fucking Christ, can we
Hex.
stop this? Like they
Good
had one good
shit
half
talk.
against a good team with a stand-in, therefore they're improving meta. Like we did that with Complexity like last year as well, and now with EG.
Hold
like,
up,
let's actually
regarding
get a win.
Yeah.
Before
I gave
we
them
are
a
like,
positive note though.
they won
I
against
gave them
Heroic.
something they
I
can work
apologize.
with. I gave Hexed good shit talk. I gave them
But-
something they can work with.
But if your tournament went as badly as Hexed, as per Hexed and EG overall, like, aren't you just annoyed that they're shit talking when they're shit? Like, isn't that a problem? Like, I see that as an annoyance. If a team is good and they're shit talking, I see that, okay, that's entertainment. You know, that's like they actually have something to put behind it. You know, but not when they're just shit talking for the sake of it. That's just
all right. They've got
that's
the
just
F.
empty.
They've got the F. All right, you
All
guys
right,
got what
let's
you
move on.
wanted. You've drawn blood.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to Permitta here. Slide number 23. Thank you,
I literally
Lucas.
have not watched a single moment of this team.
They played against Complexity and FURIA. They played Overpass, Nuke, and Mirage. They're a team that nobody really knew a lot about. They're a team that were from Poland.
They have a guy who looks like Flamey.
What rating would you like to give them here, guys?
I don't know. You take this one.
You wanted us to be nice. You take it. I mean, just looking at the scores,
Just
right?
give 'em a B
16-4,
or something.
16-7, 16-8.
For what we expected of them, you know, which was nothing.
Yeah.
We're
That's
gonna give them
bonus.
we're gonna give them a D- for showing up and flying the flag. You know, not everybody shows up. Unsupported image type. Come on now, man. What's going on here?
yeah,
It was all
docs,
going
or,
so well.
Why don't you just use text for that? Have you thought about
Man,
that?
I'm doing all of this. I'm doing all of this the hard way, all right? Doing all of this the
Is
real.
it true that you made these graphics yourself?
What do you mean?
Is that true? Like, have you made this?
I spent all day doing this. Who do you think I got to do this?
Striker, what grade are you giving this design?
Oh,
Spent all day doing this shit.
dude. I mean, considering he's the only one who made an effort,
I should get an A+
I'll
here.
give him
Look
an
at
A, man.
this.
A for effort. A for effort.
This is a
No,
visual
this is very
vehicle.
good. This is really good. Yeah, and this actually is very helpful. Like, I don't have to go through everything again.
All right, let's move on to Greyhound here. Oh dear, they at least won a map. All right, 1 and 3 in maps played. They also placed 21st to 24th. ENCE was a 1.0 rating while in-game leading. They played Inferno, Nuke, Vertigo, and Anubis. The only map they won was Anubis against MIBR in the best of in the best of 3. Then they got blown out on Vertigo. And I don't know. I think it was interesting when Kassad interviewed Liaz in the post and asked him about his roles and if he wanted to play something more aggressive. This team also, I have to put a note here. This team also, they just got rid of Kingfisher, so they now need a coach.
Do you know the story there?
Well, I don't know. He's not the team.
Yeah.
Kingfisher no
seemed
longer
like
coaching.
from the way he put it, seemed like he just left.
Okay. Well,
didn't see
Kingfisher
anything
no
else.
longer coaching. So yeah, I would say if we're given,
They also got fucked for the boot camp. You can put that in the notes. They were
Oh, that's
supposed
right.
to boot camp and
That's
got
true.
cancelled. This was straight from the mouth of the one and only Liaz.
that's true.
We just fucking sucked.
He was-
whatever
yep.
his last name is.
He was very
um,
candid about it.
I'd give him.
They
like,
won a map. None of the other
yeah.
teams we touched on won a map.
The thing is, like,
I'd still give him a D-.
Yeah, at less disappointing than EG based on like everything they had. Because like I also saw they left the Greyhound house, so I don't know what's going on there with the whole team. I feel like it's a pretty dire situation.
Yeah,
for
seems
them.
like they're not in a very good position to actually improve at the
Yeah.
moment.
It's not looking good. All right, we'll give him a D-. All right, let's keep moving. We're going to get into slide number 21, please, Lucas. This would be about MIBR. 17th to 20th place. They didn't make it from the play-ins to the main event. They won 2 maps, lost 4 maps. The elimination game where they got knocked out of the tournament was against Fnatic. They lost 16-9 on Overpass and 16-11 on Vertigo. They played Vertigo twice, Inferno, Nuke, Overpass, and Anubis once. I want to make a note here for them. Insani is nuts.
He is really good, actually. Yeah.
He is a great little not upgrade, I guess, but he's a great little find that they had from the academy roster. So it'd be interesting to see what type of a prospect he turns into for this team in the future. But I still think in certain situations, they feel a little bit lost. It looks like they are trying to play like a bit more European Counter-Strike mixed in. It doesn't seem like it's all just Brazilian style CS. But you know, some of the decision making is not quite there in the quicker moments. But I don't know where to really put MIBR because they just feel like the team is going to get plucked by, I don't know, FURIA or Imperial for names.
Yeah,
And if
I
I was
mean-
those names, I'd be looking at getting Insani fucking quick smart.
I don't know if it's too early for him to get poached like after just one event, but obviously, I mean, I think it just came out of fucking nowhere because I was looking through his stats like just before the tournament, and I was like thinking about like what is this? Like what did they see in this guy? You know, why this guy from the academy or why not somebody else? You know, they were looking for Lukauzi and that didn't work out, and so I was just trying to see, and I was like, okay, it's just very up and down. Like doesn't seem like anything special, and he just goes into play and is like the best rated player there. You know, and top fragging literally every map for them. So I think on that basis, I mean, there were definitely some positive signs just in that aspect. Like even though they didn't get the right player or the player that they wanted, they actually found somebody who fits and who's performing at this level. So I would say passing grade for sure. I don't know where to put them. Like my initial one was like B, C, something like that.
BC, all
Something
right,
like
before Christ. We're keeping it religious here, understandable.
I was thinking more of like just a D, but
I'd give him a
okay.
C.
C is fine.
I'd give him a
Okay.
C
I think
considering
there's
the
like positive signs
circumstances.
for sure. Yeah.
Like they a C
should have-
minus
they
maybe
maybe-
if we want to be rough
yeah.
on him.
C minus.
Okay.
Let's not go too crazy.
All right. Yeah. Well, because we have to, you know, some of the students, guys, we're going to treat nicer than others. That's just the way it is, you know? Where
FURIA have signed up Katowice from the academy for EPL instead of drop. That's what came out.
what just now?
On the on Twitter sphere, on the chatosphere.
Is
I
it
don't
like
know.
when is this aid? When is this from?
I don't know. Maybe someone can
We need
Send
more
it to me on
information,
Twitter.
guys.
send it to me on Twitter, on the Twitters.
We need more.
At me.
We can't just have.
It's probably just through Brazil. It's got to be them, right?
But that's interesting because Drop, he was getting very frustrated when they were losing. He was having a bit of a.
Oh, he was like,
I would say I'd call it a tantrum.
yeah.
I don't know if that's a bit harsh, but it did
I mean,
seem
he
like
had
he
a
was
terrible
losing his
event.
shit.
To be fair, like he looked improved in Rio, and then he follows that up with as bad of a tournament as this. I mean, I know we're talking about FURIA at this point, and we're kind of like ahead, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got replaced. I don't know if he necessarily fit so much in the first place.
He like I'll be honest, he never really
He did it for you.
No, that's the truth. He never really was a player that I was like, oh yeah, this guy seems like a good fit. Like he I don't know what he brings to the team. Like he was one of these imports coming up from the academy roster, right? And then sure, he had a pretty good showing at the major, or at least a better showing. But realistically, I don't know. He's not like for the role that he's playing in the team. I don't think they're getting much from him, and I think that you could replace him with a lot of different names. So he would be the first to go on that team if it was me, if they wanted to stick with the players they have. But they still, this is the thing. Why am I talking about FURIA? Why are we talking about FURIA? Fuck, I got baited into talking about
it's
FURIA.
actually EPL team list. Let's see.
Get me out of the FURIA chat. I didn't mean to be here, guys. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to.
I'll
We're
just
not
put
a
it here
FURIA.
for when we want to talk about it.
We'll
It
get
actually
to 'em
shows up
soon.
on the actual Pro League website.
Almost got fucking baited into it. Yeah, fucking hell. All right, moving on to guess what? FURIA, next team. Ha ha ha! Look at
There
that.
we go.
But this was K Serrato's
Surprisingly
rating.
low, but
Yuri's
yeah, that's
still-
where they finished.
Yuri still smished it. But yeah, the 17th to 20th place. They won 3 maps, lost 4 maps. Their only win, right? So they the only series that they won was against Permitta. They lost both of their best of 3s. So the only team they beat was just the Polish representation. They got smished. We got some Mirage played, some Anubis played, surprisingly a Nuke and an Ancient. But Prof, I know that you feel strongly about this one.
Sorry, I just read something. I just wanted to check it.
That's
I'm
all right.
blind. Oh
That's-
yeah. There's definitely Hunden on the heroic list for EPL, which is fucking hilarious.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so the
I don't
EPL
want to
list
talk
are wrong.
about FURIA. Just give him a clear F.
All right,
for
I
FURIA.
can give him an F. You want an F minus?
I don't care. Actually, it's the same.
Okay, just an F. Fair enough.
Look, I don't know. They don't play tier 1 Counter-Strike right now.
That's true.
And
That's true. Preach.
They just don't. They just don't. Like they want like this whole like double opping thing that they're trying out. So weird. So like it just does not work. They aren't even like doing anything with the double ops. They're not doing something special. And then they get stuck in these like fucking retakes with double ops, like T-side double op on nuke. I'm pretty sure I saw that. It's like, what the actual F are you doing? Like the team is already struggling to move anywhere on T-side nuke, and then they double op on top of that, and then they go for like 5 A-pops in a row. Who'd they lose to get eliminated? IHC maybe, or something?
Yeah, they lost to IHC.
I don't know if the IHC made comeback in the end there or not, but whatever. It was like, how is this happening? Like, this became a meme. This is already a meme. Like, their nuke T side is kind of a meme at this point, and they're just like going through the fucking door, wall through the head through the wall. It's just stupid to watch. Honestly, it's what is happening here. And you have someone like Serato who like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna take a duel indoor every round and get 1 kill and almost gets away with that, and is fucking insane. Like, best T-sided player that we have, at least from riflers for sure from last year, and they can't do anything with it. It's just stupid.
Look, I'm looking at this here, mate. I'm looking at one of the key things you said, that they don't play tier 1 CS. When you have riflers as good as Serato and Yuri, who can definitely play tier 1 CS meta, like, that's not even a question.
Yeah,
because the way that they approach the game, they are players who can play Counter-Strike the way it needs to be played at the highest level now. Stay safe. If they want to use him as just an AWPer to hold the lines and whatnot, I'm okay with that, right? I think that Art's aggression needs to be like more well thought out. There's no point just doing NAVI and Art. Their playstyle worked for a little while. They both fall in the same bucket. Run in, hope you get the opening kill. They don't get the opening kill anymore, right? So they need to have better plans behind it and more well thought out play, more information based play. Like, when we get talking about the heroics, the G2s, the FaZes of the world, and the way they approach Counter-Strike, there's so much reaction, right? And these teams are still trying to do it with the fucking crowbar. And I know it worked for ENCE early last year. I know it's worked for FURIA in the past, and they've still been stubborn with it. I know that it's worked for NAVI. Need to get openings for his team to then build upon. But it doesn't work now. And I think the harder part here is like the type of teams that you're losing to. Like, IHC played fundamental Counter-Strike, or definitely more fundamental Counter-Strike than what FURIA do. Like, that says something right there. IHC don't have better players across the board than FURIA. Maybe some of the names, yeah, but Serato and Yuri are the best 2 players in the server.
It's even hard to make the argument like that their like third best player is better than FURIA's third best player. I'm not even sure that's the case. Like, they just played better as a team, and the kills that they got looked easy. It didn't look like, oh, they had to work for it super hard. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about like how Heroic is playing nowadays and their city side being like super reactive and stuff like that. You don't really see that from FURIA. You just feel like people take map control from them and they don't do anything, and they just wait. And Safe, as much as he was like kind of built up before joining FURIA, I'm kind of just sick and tired of AWPers, like average to bad AWPers in top teams. Like, I don't want to see that anymore. I'm just tired, bro. If you can't put up a 1.8 rating consistently, don't just give up. Just move somewhere else. I don't.
What do you think of this one here?
What's happening?
I put a note for their parents. Boot camped for 1 month. Are you sure? Question mark.
Yeah.
Because apparently they even boot camped for a month before that. Because it definitely didn't look like it.
0.08 rating. Okay.
It didn't look right. It didn't look really good.
And that might be no, actually it's not part of the problem. It's not I don't care. That's not part of the problem. Even though it can be bad in itself, it's not the reason why they didn't play well.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to say, Striker, before we send them home with their report card?
I said
their
before,
tail tucked
like,
between their legs.
I think if this drop thing is true, and it's, I mean, it is what the website says. Drop isn't even listed there. It's Katowice. So if that's true, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Okay, I'll put another note here. We need to get the answer to this. Minus
again,
drop.
Nice, but I don't think it changes the fundamentals.
They have to change
team.
the way they're playing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think an upgrade for drop is nice, but they need to change the way they're playing the game. Okay, let's move up, Lucas, to another team who's just had a bit of a benching here. We're up at ENCE now. They won 3 maps, lost 4. Their losses were against Complexity and Cloud9. So I have put their results here. They lost on Inferno 16-8. They won on Vertigo 16-11 over Complexity. They lost on Nigma 16-13. Cloud9, they lost 16-13 Vertigo. they won Inferno 16-8 and they lost Anubis 16-10. They only played 3 different maps in total, which I thought was interesting. They only played Vertigo, Inferno, and Anubis out of all of the maps that they played, so only showing a shallow part of their map pool. And they placed 17th to 20th here. So the losses they had to Complexity and Cloud9, and Complexity were just 1 game away from the playoffs. They were close games. Like those scorelines right there tell some they were close-ish games, right? You need to dive into the minutia to really see how it's gone down. But in the aftermath, they've benched Volder, so we know that something's not quite right? Wasn't it side a difference in playstyle or how they wanted to envision the game, right? So ENCE trying something new. Do we know who the 5th is for ENCE?
I mean,
is it meant to be Nerds?
It is. It is looking like Nerds is going to be the addition. Yes. I mean, it's like I think it's flying literally everywhere at this point. Even like Endpoint and ENCE are memeing back and forth about each other. It's just kind of like stealing players from them and all that stuff. It feels like it's just a matter of time before that gets confirmed.
They're bringing in an Israeli. I think one of the keys, I guess, the positives, especially looking at the stats here, is Diha. I always thought he was pretty nifty as being like an impact rifler. It's good to see him still keeping up his numbers. So I guess they just want a player that they can get some more out of. So, and Nerds is an impact rifler. He likes to take a fight. He's aggressive. He's 23 years of age. If they can bring him in, who's going to be maybe a bit more active across the map here, alongside of a Diha, Sampayas on the AWP, and then Madden doing the supportive stuff alongside of Snappy. It's interesting, but we're kind of giving them a grade here. Are there any key points or takeaways or notes or anything that stick out for ENCE for you guys? I'm surprised they got away with playing the play-ins, with just playing 3 maps. 3 different maps.
Yeah, I don't know how that came across, honestly, but it is what it is. I don't know. I think a pretty low grade. Like I'm leaning towards like a D, considering like what ENCE what their kind of ambitions are, and the player they have, like the Sampayas upgrade. I know people are like, oh, okay, this wasn't the problem, but I think Sampayas is the better player, and I think he's the problem for them right now. Honestly, like the Valde signing was always questionable. I think we can kind of all agree on that. Like you don't really
know what we were going to get from it. I would agree with that.
And especially like with the roles that they were like kind of trying to make him like a star, which is kind of weird considering that they already have DK and Madden. Like for me, those are 2 players that are individually better than Valde right now, both of them. Okay. So I don't know. I didn't see the point of Valde on this team, but they said they had some like tryouts and it worked well and communication, blah, blah. Well, I mean, ultimately, you just need a bit more star power on this ENCE team. I mean, that was pretty obvious. You know, Snappy and Madden are always going to be the ones that are going to be like either in the positions where they're kind of bitch roles or very supportive, and so you have to have 3 people who will put up the numbers for you. You know, and if Valde is not going to be that, then like obviously you have to find somebody who will. So I think that was just a very obvious problem in ENCE, even from like when they made this change. Even through here, so I don't think there's any surprise about this, and I agree with the grade as well. I don't think there was much in terms of redeeming qualities apart from close games.
Okay, I think it's good that like they're definitely trying to play a different style of Counter-Strike to what they did in the last 6 months of last year, with still a little bit of that flair. But yeah, I think the players, like the hit of losing Spinks and then choosing to replace Hades, it was always going to take them some time to rebuild, but they're not close to where they were before. Right, they're still a ways away from that, which is maybe bringing in Nerds, it can change that. I feel like they'll have as I mentioned before, a bunch more active names. Anything else we want to put in the notes?
I think like people are saying that Madden is a bot. Just look at like his entry attempt percentage, 32%. Like he is one of the players that's just gonna go into like, which are obviously the most difficult duels to take, and it's even higher on the T side, 36%. So
that's actually super crazy high. That's like a Kindar levels.
Yeah. So he has a pretty difficult role on the team.
Okay. Well, I just want to do Sprout. That'll be our last 17th to 20th place, and then we'll jump into some ads, and then we'll start the top 16 after that. So this is another interesting one with Sprout here, 17th to 20th. They were 3 for 3 in maps won and lost. Their only win, however, was against EG. It was 16-13, 16-14, Mirage and Ancient. We know what's happened since then. Zyphon was benched, and right now Berry is doing some in-game leading. They played with MOUZ for like fucking 2 series or whatever. But one curious thing here, check out the maps that they played. Mirage, Inferno, Overpass, Vertigo, Ancient, Anubis all once. Whereas we were just
Yeah.
talking about ENCE, who only played 3 different maps. These guys played 6 different maps. Like, and they only played 6 maps in total. Like, that's the fucking stark contrast right there. But to be honest, I've been pretty disappointed with their start to the year, considering how exciting some of the names in this team are, like Stare and Lonks. I want to see a bit more from Zello right on that AWP. He had some moments, but really nothing crazy. I'm surprised Zyphon's the one who hit the bench. I thought maybe they'd replace Refresh to bring in an in-game leader.
Yep.
But apparently they want to keep Refresh and bring in an in-game leader, which is currently being done by Berry for the CCT event. I think that they're playing because I picked him in my fantasy team. Let's fucking go, God Berry.
You picked Barry for a fantasy team?
Yeah.
That is risky.
I don't know. You're talking to the top 1% playoffs, you know, so maybe wait and see, boys. Maybe wait and see what I've got
Well,
right
this
up
is the
my
whole
sleeve.
event, not just the playoffs. Or you pick like
Just
for
see
2
what
games,
I got up
we'll
my
see.
sleeve. Berry, temp,
looking
IGL.
forward to seeing the Berry red zone.
People in chat fucking get it. The people in chat are all on side with the Berry call. They'll see it. They'll see it manifest.
He is actually kind of popular for some reason, you know.
God
Because it's very
Berry,
cheap.
man.
Yeah.
That's also.
What are we
he's a
giving
baller.
Sprout? I feel like they're another D.
Yeah, I mean that's gotta be.
Why
right?
would you give them a D based on this performance?
They won him.
Exactly.
They won against EG.
I wanted to give them a B. Actually, I felt
You
like
want to give
they
them
were.
a B?
I think
Well,
they're.
four.
I think they lost to OG in overtime in a game that
They should have won.
maybe should have won, but okay. OG's a good team. Then they beat EG, came back from like pretty shitty starts.
Yeah.
Props for that.
All
And
right.
they played against Spirit, which I honestly rate kind of highly, who also lost to like Spirit ended up losing to like Liquid and whatever. Like they're not a shit team. They're a top 10 team
Yeah.
right now. And they played them 3 maps there. For Sprout, that is kind of, you know, youngsters and all of that. If they had a different like draw, I think they go through like
I can
that
give
was
them
their
a passing grade. I can't give them a B. I can give them a C.
Okay, like we can go a C then.
We got.
I mean, yeah, sure.
because
they're
like,
not.
did
there
you
wasn't
think they were going to make a change like after that? That you were just like, I think it was like, okay, well,
I think they had
unlucky.
higher aspirations, to be honest.
Right.
Unfortunately, that they didn't go through. But like, I don't really think that's like, you know, a big deal for them. I still would give them like good chances to make the major and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give them a passing grade then. A B's a B's
can
a
be
bit
a
over
C.
the top, mate.
We can go with C. I think the one
Okay.
thing that I want to say about Sprout is, I mean, even from the interview that I had with Refresh, where other than speaking about the IGL problems, he also talked about kind of like the differences between Slacks and Zello. And I mean, somebody said it in the comments below that interview. Like, I've never seen an interview with a player where like it looked more like they wanted a player back almost. Like in terms
Oh,
of Slacks,
really?
that he was like very supportive and like knew even like it helped with secondary calling and on that stuff. Like had a better overview of the macro basically. I don't think that that's necessarily what what's Refresh wanted to convey or anything like that. That he wanted to Zello out, but there was a lot of praise towards Slacks and just generally Zello has not been particularly impressive. I don't know if it's because he's been stuck in the tier 2-3 for like way too long to kind of like for this not to be like a big transition. So maybe he just needs a little bit more time. But at the moment, like he hasn't had some pop-off games. You know, I haven't seen him like be a very key player for them at the moment. And like he needs to be if this Sprout is going to work. So I'm just waiting for that.
All right. Well, let's go to the ads and we'll come back and start doing the top 16 teams. Lucas, kick us into the ad break, mate.
It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. Good vibe, trend,
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on BitSkins.com.
N1 Bet. Your bet. your game.
A boom, boom, boom. Let me see it. Wait, one more time. A boom, boom, boom. Let me hear it say hueho.
Well,
Thank you very much for playing along with me, gentlemen. Just in tough time to get Zvonimir back in his seat. See, I'm not going to stop using your name now. I'm just going to constantly be using it. Yeah, it's not going to end.
Say it like the Danish people
Thank you,
do.
Chad Michael.
Yeah, that is actually my middle name. We're gonna fly through. We're gonna fly through some of these next teams here. Okay, so big 13th to 16th. They had 4 maps, 1-5 lost. Their elimination loss was to Spirit in a best of 3. They played a bit of Anubis. They played some Mirage, Inferno, Nuke, and Ancient. Sirison was their highest rated player, and they were a play-in team who made it to the main event. Sorry, the group stage. I'm gonna stop doing that.
And then he left.
And then he left, exactly, which was surprising.
Yeah, 100%.
Raise your hand if you weren't surprised. Aha! So you guys are good. You guys are good at following. Yeah, this was pretty wild, right, Prof? To see Sirison, like who you consider a franchise player alongside a Tabson, leave the team or choose to be benched.
I was shocked, honestly, and I can only speculate as to why. Actually, I can't even speculate. I have no idea. I don't really understand.
I think he doesn't have any faith in the team. Why else would he leave?
I mean, I can speculate. The only thing that comes to mind for me is like I feel like Big is a team that's kind of difficult to play in. Like in terms of between Tabson and Gob, I feel like it's a very maybe don't take this literally. Don't make an article out of it. But the first word that comes to mind is like oppressive in a way. Like
I see what you're saying.
They know
they have the do not peek bat. And they'll whack you over the head.
They have the way they want to play Counter-Strike, and they're like, this is how you have to play. And if you're not doing this, you're
wrong, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. There's no middle ground. There's no like, hey, this is how I feel. Tell me how you feel. Let's share our feelings. Let's try to figure out what is best for everyone here. I feel like it's like, yeah, we know how to play. Don't do stupid shit. And I don't know if like he is affected by that, but I feel like some players in the past, like then you put Smuya in that. That's like, what the fuck is it? That could never work out, right?
Boy, must have had so many bruises if that bat was like.
And I feel like that's also why someone like Tizian stuck around on the team so because he was the player that understood
he could do
how
that,
they wanted to play, and he is going to do it, right? And he's not going to make mistakes. Maybe he's not going to be like popping off and doing some crazy shit every round, but he's not going to do the bad things. And I feel like they qualify, give more attention to like not making mistakes than being, doing
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Proactivity,
great things.
Proactivity and things like that.
Yeah. So I that's maybe where I see that the issue comes from, because otherwise, like he was a great player. I don't know. He is the German Opera, right? Despite his ups and downs, I feel like last 3 months, even LAN play has been pretty much better than before. So it's sad to see him leave.
Yeah, I agree. I think the question is less about Sirison here, however, right? Like we can speculate in episodes to come of where he might be able to find himself, but is to now what's going to happen with Big, right? So they brought Hyped, the kid from the academy team, up to the main roster. They still qualified for Brazil, right?
And he was big, actually. Hyped was great in that
He was
qualifier.
hyped, you might say.
He was hyped. I saw Big make the exact same joke, and I am disappointed that you did as well.
Yeah, why not? The easy ones. The team name is Big, They keep it simple for us. It's hard for us to fuck it up. But the question here is not about the report card like going into the future. It's their report card at Katowice. So what would we give them at Kato in coming 13th to 16th place? Like where would we place this team? Because really, like we talk about being a bit of a gatekeeper to the top 10. I guess they somewhat achieved that again, right? It's just I don't know. I'm not Maui, right? Maui has been high on the big hype train before. I'm not high on the big hype train. I've just the big hype train.
I mean, it's kind of passive for me. It is definitely not like not like an impressive performance or anything like that, because I had a point and I completely lost it.
Well, they lost to G2 and they lost to Spirit, right?
As well.
They beat Complexity and FURIA.
Yeah,
such a average.
Yeah,
big
it's like a C.
performance.
It's like a C. They did what we expected of them, right?
Yeah,
like I don't.
Yeah,
like considering the names they were up against, is kind of what was expected. Do I expect them to get past to G2? No.
No.
Do I expect them to push a Spirit in a best of 3 series? Yes, and that's what happened. But they didn't win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I am. Oh yeah. My point was I was starting to expect a little bit more just because they finally got out of this rut where they had constant lineup changes, you know. But then, like in retrospect, maybe they already knew about the Cersei move that he would leave after Katowice, and like who the fuck knows at this point, you know, what was going on inside of the team just before that, the tournament, you know. So like from that perspective, I don't really understand.
No, that's all right. But I think we give them a C here. They just get a passing grade because it's what we expected from them.
That's fine. I think they're all right.
Let's go on to Cloud9. Does anybody want to get into this one? 3 wins, 5 losses, 13th to the 16th place. Shiro and Axel still playing well. They lost to IHC. Basically, this team shit the bed against teams that they should beat every day of the week. We had them against Imperial. I remember that from last year. That one was fucking crushing. This one has to be crushing as well. How are you losing to IHC with Shiro and Axel on your team?
IHC playing with a stand-in, by the way. Let's just be clear.
Yeah,
let's just be clear. IHC was playing with a stand-in.
This has to be an F.
Yeah,
this is an F for me.
Like, it has to be an F. Like, they're in the same boat as FURIA, but at least they made it to the main event, right? These guys qualified from the play-in into the group stage. It was Buster's debut, but I don't think it added anything. They still looked quite similar in a lot of the different facets.
If
that they were up to.
beat IHC and lose to someone else, like a decent team,
maybe get a C.
Give them a D. Maybe a D.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know, passing, but bad. But they lost to IC. So
yeah. I mean, you just can't get away from having players as good as that and not being a decent contender, you know, even if it's like a new lineup play. And that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot that is. We've said so much about this team, right?
It's the worst thing is that it's, you know, everyone was right. And that's everyone was right. Everyone said, like, this is not going to change how the team plays. And that's exactly what we saw. And it's not like they had time. They had a month at least of playing with Buster and practicing. It was the same team. Like, they swapped a few positions between Nafani and Buster that I noticed. Some that like Inters had before. They play the same. It's literally, there's no changes in anything, and they lose the same. And it's just sad. It's just sad, honestly. It's just like there's so much more potential here that is not being.
They need to work
on
it
the
out.
Server.
They got to work it out, right? The Shiro and Axel and Hobbit. I know he's not playing that way. They're all too good. They're all too good to be losing to an IHC. That's simple as that. And we're going to talk about IHC very soon. That's not meant to be. This is a team that, you know, we're talking about 2 absolute fucking studs. Shiro and Axel from last year. They were fucking shit up. Like, they got to do better.
I'm the 3 and 4 player, right?
So they've got to do better than that. That's just it's as simple as that. There's not too much else around that conversation.
Yep.
Anything else we want to put on the notes? Are we happy with this? I don't have a lot to say about
big fat F.
I was disappointed.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, obviously they're not going to make another change right now, but
Are you saying they should?
But it doesn't matter because it's not realistic to do it now.
Right.
So we're just going to have to watch this for another like 3 or 4 months. And I hope that this is like kind of the kick in the butt to the team to be like, okay, back to the drawing board. Let's redo some stuff.
I'm just a bit pissed off that like we didn't get to talk to them and nobody got to talk to them literally like after. I think I asked for them after literally every single series or every single match that they played, and I got denied every single step of the way. I even wanted Groove just because, you know, whatever, the team, I can understand that maybe they're not going to want to talk, especially after some of those losses. So I was asking for Groove or whoever else would talk to me at some point. They didn't, and nobody else from press got anything. So the only times they actually said anything about it was like when they had to go on the stream, right? And in those, like, it's super short interviews. You don't really get to go very in depth about like what's even the thinking behind this change. Why is he in the same spots? Like, why didn't they like consider, or if they considered any sort of like systematic changes, or like if Nafani was thinking about it in a different way, whatever, you know, what it was. Like, we didn't necessarily learn anything about this entire move and what was the point or what they even fucked up, you know? So that's what I'm disappointed about, that like teams are just so kind of like isolated sometimes when they make these changes and when they don't want to talk outside, even though like people just want to know what's going on.
When you don't talk, then you just leave everything up for interpretation and speculation, and then people come up with stuff that obviously some of it is not going to be correct, and then you're going to be like, oh, why are people talking shit? I mean, maybe you speak then.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
kind of
but
the point.
yeah, no, I get that. And the thing is, if they don't care about what gets said, that's fine, right? Because we have to speculate. That's kind of what we do here. So we're not speculating to say that wasn't a good event. That was obviously a very disappointing start to the year with a loss to a team. Like that's like losing to Greyhound, right? Or fucking that's what that is. And they lost to Greyhound before as well. It was best of one, sure.
Right.
But so some of these losses, that the way that they play the game, like we rate this team as they're meant to be like a contender. They're not in the contender conversation anymore. I don't think this team is part of the chit chat with the big squads at the moment, right? Like the potential is there, and if they get their act back together, and then we can have that conversation. Whereas I think even if FURIA get their act together, I don't think they're a contender team. Whereas I think Cloud9, if they get their shit together, can be a contender team. So we'll give them an F, and we'll keep on moving.
Let's move on.
NIP. All right, guys. I think we're thinking an A+ here for NIP. Right. 13th to the 16th. 4 maps won, 4 maps lost. Their biggest win was against Spirit, a 16-8, 16-7 victory over them.
Wasn't playing, right?
Yeah, they played a bit of Mirage, Inferno, Nuke, Overpass, and Vertigo. They lost to Vitality and Outsiders, who are both playoff teams. So I think, all things considered, for an NIP that didn't have any practice or very little practice, and throwing a config in who in the future will definitely perform better than what his rating shows here. Headtrick was decent out the gates for somebody just to hold his own as an AWPer. I would immediately slap a B on NIP. I think that even though they came 13th to 16th, I had very low expectations. I have accepted the fact that config will be here for the foreseeable future because we don't know what's happening with Hampus. And in terms of Alexi being able to use these pieces to make it work and being able to, beat Spirit.
Yeah.
That's, even though it wasn't
kind of
played,
a B
still pretty good.
maybe B minus.
B minus. I could meet you at a B minus.
We can do a B minus. I think B is very optimistic. I think, I was like kind of paying attention to Headtrick again and was just trying to keep an eye on him to see like how he behaves exactly. I was really not impressed in the Vitality series, but then he stepped up again in the Outsiders one. So I am still kind of like holding out on like big judgment on whether he's ready for tier 1, not ready for tier 1. He definitely has his moments, and like that Inferno game against Outsiders was one where like he, like without him they would have just gotten entirely blown out. Like there would have been no chance. So at least there's definitely positive signs from him that he can have those big maps against like really big teams.
Yeah, and like config being the worst rated player, I don't think that's going to be a consistent factor.
That's
I think that's going to change with some time in the team and just getting adjusted to everything.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to him about like the role and stuff like that, and he's literally just like filling for whatever the team needs at the moment. They haven't figured out like where he actually slots in perfectly. He's just literally like slotting into the system like however much he can at the moment. So he's not even playing his own roles.
I think he can be pretty versatile for them. But the thing is, like him and Rez sometimes do similar things, at least in teams that I'd remember, right? Like we all remember Config on Vertigo AWPing the B site, right? When he wasn't the B defender, for example, or Config when he was in Complexity. One week he was playing topside, the next week he was playing ramp. I remember them move their setups around a bit like that. But Rez also likes to be a rifler who does some secondary AWPing too. So I don't know. They're flexible
primary
players.
AWPing as well.
Yeah, who?
The primary AWPing too.
And Alexi used to love picking up a bit of secondary AWP. This is going more a bit back in the day when Train was still in the map pool. So I think they have a lot of tools that they can use, and I think that they should probably try and do that and allow like these players to have a bit of autonomy, and then Alexi to just manage the macro of where he wants them to go, and these players use a bit of their flair, because they do have some players with some flair in this team.
What I am curious about is I'm not necessarily sure, because if Raz is going to be moved around as a result of that a little bit, because Config should be the guy in front, I would say. Like as much as Raz is like obviously a really big aimer, like Config is the guy who will just kind of like power through bomb sites, and sometimes at least when you need him. And I'm not sure Raz is the same kind of player. So maybe that's where the switch is going to happen, where Raz is going to be, I don't know if he's going to be the lurky boy or whatever, like as Hampus was. I'd say it's more likely that would be Brolin eventually. But I do think that there's going to be some swap in like who's going to be in front on T side, especially, and some of these
I mean,
positions.
right now this is for last month, so it includes Blast as well. Alexi B T side attempts 27.7%, and then it's Brolan 25, then Config 20, Rez 19, and Headtrick 10%. So, and then there's also like Maxter and Hampus for their time is like 15 and 3.9. So Config more aggressive than Hampus early on in the rounds.
Yeah, well, that because I remember Hampus would take space, but a lot of the time he would be like getting like, let's say, Red House on Ancient and then activating late into rounds, right? He would be the one taking
which
the
is what
exchanges.
Config did as well, right?
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see how this develops. But yeah, at B-. Anything else we want to say about NIP?
No,
Not
I
really,
mean
let's see.
this is an NIP that probably is going to be very different the next time. Which group are they in Pro League? Does anybody remember? Let me see.
Give me 1 second. I got it open
They're
right
in
here
Group
in front of
C,
me.
so quite a lot of time. So like, let's say a
Heaps
month
of
away.
time. And they play Pain in the opening game. Then they play either FaZe or Rooster. Yeah, it'd be interesting because the OG as well without Nexa potentially come that stage. We don't know how long that's going to go. 0-0 Nation, Greyhound, Vitality. So yeah, there's a bit of time for them to work out what they want to do. All right, let's jump up to MOUZ. Got a bunch more slides to get through here.
This is a tricky one.
So yeah, MOUZ is a bit of a rough one, right? So they lost to Complexity here in that best of 3 series, and then they had that game against OG as well, where there was just shitloads of clutches, right? Like Dexter was just being a monster on Dexter on the B side of Mirage, winning a bunch of clutches and stuff. They played a bit of Inferno, Mirage, Nuke, Overpass, and Ancient. I would say, considering it was the first time we saw them from where they were in the semifinals of the major, this here is probably like a D, right? Because for their expectations as well, I think the
why are being so harsh, Chad?
Well, I don't know. I would say by their own expectations. Right? I would say by their own expectations, they would consider they didn't have a passing grade here. If they made,
I mean, Cyclone was fucking destroyed. Like I talked to him afterwards, one of the few losing interviews, and you know, he was very clearly disappointed, and the team wasn't very clearly disappointed. But I mean, it is what can happen, you know, after you're gone for 2 months, and they did look very competitive in both of those series, you know. So probably just a few things that they need to adjust, and maybe a little bit of rustiness came into play, and then that's going to happen. So like,
I don't think they're gone. I'm not
comfortable with an F.
Had a bad performance,
but I think it's definitely not like far away from what we would have expected after Rio.
Yeah, and that's the issue, right? I listened to that interview I think it did grades.
I think what the difference between an F and a D is like F is you have to change something.
Okay,
kind of, yeah.
And the D is like this is not good, but let's see.
We know you can do better.
Let's see where you can take it from here, right?
Okay.
I think that's the difference between if you look at like FURIA and Cloud9, where you're like, this isn't working, guys. This is not okay. You can't like go back to the drawing board, change something, come back. And MOUZ is just like, you played not up to your potential. Like you can do much better. Just apply yourself, and it's gonna come through. And I think that's where we are with MOUZ.
All right. Well, they've got a D. They've got a D, not the D. Just
that's a question for you, Chad.
Yeah.
Isn't there an E between D and F?
Well, I don't know. Back when I used to watch The Simpsons, it used to just go A, B, C, D, and then F. So I didn't really come up with the American grading system. I understand that they don't. I don't know if they still use it today. I'm sure that there's a couple of people that get their feelings hurt by having an F here on their report card. But back in Australia, we didn't do A, B, C, Ds. I don't know about the E's and definitely no F's. So we did a different way.
I actually looked into this when we had this conversation about like why there isn't an F- or F+, because it is just a fail. Like it is a failure. So that's an absolute term, not something you can grade.
Fair
like,
enough.
Up or down is just you failed.
That's fair enough.
And then E actually was like in some grading systems early on, but then it got removed. I guess it's just because it's too many, like because of the percentages that didn't work out. Like below some point, it was just an F. I think it's like 50% or something. That's an F or whatever. But
well, the chat's so fun. There's first of all, some guy said like rated, just added a list of IGLs, Alexi B, Art, and Anthony. And that's actually a thread that was on HLTV yesterday. It was like least intelligent IGLs, and that was actually the exact list. I thought that was kind of funny.
So wait, Art, Anthony, and Alexi, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the three of them, but and the funniest thing is like the guy had like a whole explanation, not explanation, but like a
analysis.
After that, he said, "Not trying to hate, of course. Respect every human soul, and especially IGLs."
There you go. That's nice. Yeah,
reading himself at the end.
Nice. All right. IHC. What are we giving these guys? These
It's
guys
got to
got
be
an
like
A?
an A plus, right? I mean, that's
A
way above
plus.
expectations.
I'd give him an A. I don't know if I give him an A plus.
Okay, well, let's say like A plus would have been if they fucking made it close to playoffs or whatever. But like this is close
They
to
didn't
that
give
for
the
sure.
teacher an apple here, mate. They were there on time, but they weren't the best student in the fucking class. I'll give them an A. I think in terms of the performance that we saw them have, it was a good performance, considering what we were expecting was not a whole lot, right? But I think it showed people the type of Counter-Strike these guys play. People who maybe haven't been paying much attention in the past when they should have been to this team does try and play default Counter-Strike. Sometimes it doesn't look like default Counter-Strike, but they definitely do try and play it, right? So I think, you know, it's a good showing. It's a good showing, a showing that they should be proud of.
So this is like the smart student that just generally doesn't give a fuck, and like teachers don't really expect anything from him, but they know that there's potential, and they finally see that potential, and then they're like they want to reward him for that. So that's what we're doing here.
We want him to keep going. I think we definitely want him to keep going here, because if they can be like a beacon of hope for the region and show the teams that, hey, look, you can play system-based Counter-Strike where, you know, like your good decisions will be rewarded. That'd be great. That'd be great. It doesn't have to be so run and gun. It can, but they were a team who came from the play-ins to the group stage. They played a lot of different maps here, and you look at the stats. The stats don't really show a team that beat a FURIA and a Cloud9, but they did. Came 9th to 12th overall, and they had Bartek standing in for Cabal, who's apparently having a kid. So playing with 6th, I'll add that, playing with 6th to the notes. So really, they fucking smashed it. Yeah, they did a fantastic job.
I think the most impressive part for me was that, like, even in those losses that they had to face in Liquid, like people will see 0-2, 0-2, and whatever, like they were in positions to win Inferno in both those series, you know? Yeah. So that would have been like even another step up, you know, for them. So I think just very, very impressive overall. Maybe their map pool is a little bit shallow because Inferno was like the biggest, by far the biggest strength. Like everybody knew that, okay, playing in Inferno against them is going to be rough. But it is impressive to me that like they knew that from the play-in already. And Liquid had a problem. Cloud9 lost to them on Inferno, and FaZe had a problem for some time before they came back like late into the map. So like it's impressive that even though people kind of like got to research them really like after the play-in and like see, okay, like this is a scary team on Inferno, like let's figure out how to play against them, how not to let them do what they want, and they would still be competitive. That is an impressive part to me for sure, because that was such a clear strength for them.
They had some good aimers as well. Like I think that's had some players who were in positions where they could just shoot hard, like happy to dry swing, take a lot of fights. I think the thing is that IHC fell under the conversation for a lot of people as just an Asian Counter-Strike team, which a lot of people just think is synonymous with aggression, right? But and I get it. A lot of people probably aren't paying attention, and now they are, that they won a game. But the matches I covered from them, it was always like they were playing, or they're trying to play proper CS.
Yeah,
like they were never doing
some really crazy fucking moments. Like Annihilation just can run around like an idiot. Like,
but that's good because his first event wasn't good. This one was much better for him. Like this event was much better from him. And when I saw him in the first event, I was like, well, why didn't they just stick with 9? Like, what is the deal with this guy? But this has shown like his potential a little bit more so, right?
No,
so,
he definitely has a peak. Yeah, he has a ceiling.
And that's great. I think Blitz, right? The guy who Blair's telling me is a chess wizard. Like he was sharp. Like he was happy to drive. Like I thought on maps like Overpass and Nuke, Score really came into his own. I think their comms must have been pretty good because there's lots of good decision making of when to push through smokes and stuff. They knew when players were engaged in fights a lot of the time. They were really quiet lads to talk to. I tried to talk to them a bit, and you know, and I think that they do speak more English than they let on, but I think they're just a bit more reserved in that fashion. And Bartek had some moments. I know his stats don't really back that up, but he had some moments in some of their games, and for a stand-in, he did, or 6th, he did pretty decent. So, yeah, happy with IHC.
Yep.
All right. Keep on grooving through. Spirit, we're up to slide number 12 now. Whenever you're ready, Lucas. So we've got 11 more slides to go, including this one. And the bulk of our conversation will be coming up shortly.
Yeah, maybe just speed up just a bit.
For sure.
Just a bit.
Spirit 9th to 12th, 6 maps won, 8 lost. Their elimination loss was to Liquid, a team who ended up making it to the playoffs. Magic's had a pretty good event, but Patsy, you know, an X Factor player, I think we need to see more from him consistently, which is hard to do. Wonderful, again, just doing what his standard does. He's just par for the course with Wonderful here. Spirit had up and down moments. Some games looked pretty rough and some games looked pretty good. So I don't know. I think for these guys, it'd be like a B- for me.
Yeah,
Maybe even a C+.
somewhere there.
Like,
Somewhere there.
yeah, I can whack
Uh,
it in. If anyone has anything they want to say specifically about them, we can get it out. Otherwise, we can keep moving. They played a lot of
No,
nuke
no.
and only won it once.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, they're kind of borderline for me. What did you put in? B-?
Yeah, B-. I
maybe-
could put a
maybe
C.
bit- whatever.
All right.
I think C's alright, but
I can change
it's
it. We
here or
can-
there. I think C. I don't think I think B- is like kind of above average. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that for Spirit necessarily, because this is still a team that we're expecting more from, just because of their peaks that we saw last year, you know, like in Antwerp and some of the stuff. So as much as they lost to big teams, like they lost to FaZe and Liquid, you know, two teams that didn't necessarily go super far, but like one of them was a playoffs team and one of them just barely outside, right? Like that's kind of like a redeeming thing for them. Like they only lost to two big teams.
If people, I see someone in chat saying that Wonderful, the stats are wrong. Wonderful's rating was 1.2. This is the play-ins and the group stage combined. This isn't just the.
And he had a really rough start. I think the nip match, like he was super off, I think.
Yeah, so for any of these teams,
I had him for the first fantasy. He kind of fucked me there. Not gonna lie.
But for anyone who when we see these stats for any of these teams that came from the play into the group stage, it's the stats from both. I joined them together here, so we could have a better overall picture of what happened. All right, let's go from Spirit up to OG. So OG had the rough demise of their way out of the tournament because Flames got sick and Rugger had to stand in. That kind of sucks overall. They were 5 and 6 in maps, 5-1-6 lost, 9th to 12th place. The notable teams they beat were MOUZ and fnatic, and they played, right, you just heard it there, they played 11 maps, but they only played 3 different maps. They played Inferno 5 times, 3 Mirages, and 3 Overpasses. Right? So looking at this, it's kind of crazy to see how few or how little of their map pool they had to show. So I have a hard time giving these guys a low grade because of the whole Rugger situation with Flames. I thought
honestly feel like they could have made playoffs. Like I felt like they were going to make playoffs, honestly, because
I feel it was possible.
Their group was not that competitive, right? When you look at the lower bracket that they had, it was like MOUZ, Complexity, NIP Outsiders, fnatic, OG. Those are the 6 teams going for one spot, and I feel like OG was in form to beat any of these teams.
Yeah.
The Outsiders ones was obviously going to be the most difficult, but I didn't really feel like Outsiders were playing like in the group stage, playing like some top tier CS.
Yeah.
Well, next to the bench is a problem, right?
I don't know what the hell is going on with that, to be honest.
So that's
like
interesting.
Nico coming in, I'm not even sure what's the point.
Who's going to call
specifically? I mean, like a conversation I had on the side made it seem like Nico was going to at least partly call. I don't know who like was going to be responsible for actual calling, or if it's just going to be Nico like being kind of like the main voice, but it doesn't really make sense too much for me. Like the only guy that I can see that could potentially call on that team is Fiku. Just kind of, you know,
Jesus, yeah, it's pretty grim, right? In that
watching
regard.
him and just kind of like his personality and like the role that he has is also, I don't know, man. Flames is probably a little bit too ADHD, I think, to be calling for that team. I think Fiku is kind of like a very stable person. Also, like one of the more passive people who can kind of control the team a little bit more, if you know that's what the plan is at the moment. But I don't know exactly what the plan is with that.
Well, what are we giving them here on a grade for their performance at Kato? I would say a B-. I agree with you, Prof. I feel like they could have potentially made it, but they got unlucky with the Flames situation.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of the best OG showings that we had.
Yeah, one of the more convincing showings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was hard matches.
Okay, fair enough.
Some good.
I wasn't super convinced, but I think I watched like 2 of their games, so I'm not 100% like might have been the wrong games.
I just think as well, I'm comparing it to like OG track record, right? And I know that they can do well at blast events, but here, you know, they felt like there's a little bit more to it. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
All right, jumping into fnatic, 9th to 12th, 8 maps won, 7 lost. Notable teams beaten, outsiders. Well, that must mean they didn't beat a lot of notable teams if I only put outsiders in that list right there. They played a lot of overpass. Some Mirage, Inferno, Vertigo, and 1 nuke. And you can see here pretty even for the stats across the board, which is how I think this team is going to succeed. They need everybody contributing here for them to be able to to get through the matches. The issue that they had was they were eliminated by complexity, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that one right there is a rough one. I know
kind of
complexity
leaning
played some
towards
good
a
CS.
C somewhere. I'm feeling a C for the Fnatic team. It's like
Sure.
you saw some potential to do something, but then again, didn't really capitalize on the opportunities that they had in terms of losing to complexity. Vitality loss, I'd say. They also had that one. Was it?
I mean, considering like how they like the scores that they had, right? Like they barely beat Outsiders, barely lost to Vitality, and then kind of got blown out by Complexity. Like the first 2 series, obviously, like if that was alone, then we would be like, yeah, okay, these are 2 playoffs teams, right?
My biggest issue is that it's not an issue. This is what I think about Fnatic. I still think they're getting their backbone of how they want to approach the game down because everything they do is just so default heavy. And I think it makes it easier for Mezzi to be able to call if their default's down, right? But I think they have a lot more players who can get stuck in if they want to be proactive or more reactive with some of their decisions. Like Nikodos always seems better when he's in the crazy fights. I think Roy, when we remember his best moves in Flames, he's pushing out a fucking cave on Ancient and mowing him down. So I think that the team still has more to give, but I think they still need a bit more development time. So for where they got 9th to 12th, they were a playoff team of the major. This is the first time we've seen them this year. We'll hit them with a C. I'm happy with that.
All
right. Complexity. Halzerk, he's finally here to play. We had the revelation of Grim at the start of the year. He's been playing some inspired CS. Halzerk's activation is why this team was able to play 7th to 8th.
Yeah,
they had 10 map
100%.
wins, 8 losses, notable teams beaten MOUZ, Fnatic, and ENCE. Played a lot of Inferno, some Overpass, Vertigo, Anubis, Nuke, and Ancient. So they had to play a lot of their map pool here. No Mirage is the omission. And they came from the play-ins to the group stage. And yeah, I think Halzerk's activation is fantastic. If they can get Floppy consistent alongside of Grim, who's looking great, this team can be like, here's the deal. They boot camped a lot. They played a lot of Counter-Strike. So they understand the defaults and the way they want to approach the game. But Halzerk said they're playing 10 hours of Counter-Strike a day. So they've gone through the reps enough. They understand in what points of the game that they have to take risks to make plays happen. And Halzerk knew that better than anybody and was able to find these really crazy timings and get kills when nobody was looking, which was a great way for him to be disruptive in the mid-round. Now, the question is, will he always be able to get away with that? Probably not. They'll have to continue to diversify. They'll have to continue to grind out the game. But the team always had a good approach. We always spoke about JT having a good understanding of the game and good utility usage, always a couple of gimmicky, geeky ideas. The question was about having the players activate. And you can understand how to approach Counter-Strike, but you can be like a shy little timid dog that always has your tail down and your face down. You don't want to be saying hi to anybody. These guys were like the dog at the park, that big motherfucker jumping all over everybody. They knew, it's okay. We can make these plays. We can take these risks. And that, I think, is the key to why Complexity played well. And I don't know. I feel like we should give him an A+.
I like an A for sure, at least. A is definitely good. I think, I think this was probably Halzerk's kind of like breakout tournament, even though that feels a little bit silly to say because
I agree, bro. I agree. You're bang on.
Yeah, because like there was just until that last series that they had against Outsiders, like there you could visibly see what the difference is, like between Halzerk really like being there and not being there, because they lost in the qualifying game when Halzerk was off, and nobody was there to step up. So like when he was on, he was the reason why they were winning, and you could see that with his plays for sure, like what you were saying about kind of like making the right plays at the right times, like he was consistently getting them out of trouble, like in positions where they wasn't supposed to win, like pistol rounds, just like winning on his own and things like that, like consistently. And then, he has an off series against Outsiders or off a couple of maps and they lose to them, one of them in overtime. So that was definitely the revelation of the tournament for me, because I think before that we saw that there's potential in Halzerk, but we didn't see like that he could be a carry for a team. We just saw he could be a consistent force for somebody, but not a guy who will just like win them games on his own. And that's what happened here.
Yeah. Yep. Anything you want to add, Prof?
The European import finally pays off, right?
Oh, it took a while.
It took a while to get him going, the diesel tractor, but it's here now. So, for me, the tricky part is what you said, like playing 10 hours plus how much is Halzerk
hard to replicate, right?
Yeah, it feels like this is kind of where they peak, right? If they have to play 10 hours for this, they have to have. I mean, yeah, Halzar can continue to be good, but it's going to be more difficult for him to pull off some of these moves that he did when people are going to be like, okay, he is going to overstay his welcome. He's going to stay in front of a smoke or whatever, to get an extra kill. And if people are going to be more aware of that, then that's going to kind of neutralize one of their key points to victory, right? But we'll see. We'll see at DPL. I think that's going to be a good test for sure.
Because that's teams that they should beat.
Yeah,
and teams that they can be competitive against
potentially.
And how is that going to affect them, right? To be more in the favorite position, because for the most part they've always been like the second worst or the worst team in whatever group they've been in for the last year. So now that changed significantly.
Yep. All right, we're giving them an A. They probably only really deserve a B plus, but we're happy with them. We want North American Counter-Strike to be great again. So we'll give them an A. They can take it. They can show Graham Pitt. They'll put it on the fridge. Jason Lake will be happy about it. The Dallas Cowboys, they'll be talking about this. They'll be celebrating. There'll be champagne.
There's going to be
everywhere.
like a big meeting in the Dallas Cowboys office, and it's going to be like, we're supposed to shut down this, but the HLTV guys just give us
the official report card.
The official report card with double thumbs up, and they're going, okay, 2 more years.
2 more years. They can thank us. We just take us out for dinner one night. All right, let's move over to FaZe. 7th to 8th, 5 wins, 4 losses in maps played. They played Ancient, Inferno, Nuke, Mirage, and Overpass. Actually, Ancient was their most played map. Their losses, though, to get eliminated from the tournament, because they were in the group of death, was to Liquid and G2.
Yeah.
So how do we feel about FaZe, boys? Another crack at the Grand Slam down the drain.
Yeah. I have to say,
they lost to 2 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, they lost to the first and to the best team of the tournament, and then to a semifinalist, right? But the problem is, we have to put it in context of where FaZe should be or where FaZe want to be, and obviously, that's competing. That's finally concluding the Grand Slam. The thing is, we haven't seen that in half a year, in a position where they could actually win a tournament. So at this point, is it really that surprising? Is it not that surprising? I think for me, it was kind of between FaZe and Liquid, I wasn't sure who was going to win. Heading into that game, I really, expectation-wise and where those 2 teams were at that point, I was like, okay, this is kind of a 50-50 game. It was a similar place to when I was thinking about the Vitality Liquid's quarterfinal. I didn't know what was going to separate them, As much as Liquid didn't play the cleanest CS and they were super up and down, they have that peak, that they can beat some of these teams, and they showed that again. So it's not a surprise. Is it a disappointment for them? 100%. There's no question. But personally, I feel like it's kind of middle of the road. It's just a FaZe that was decent,
like a
but
C,
just not a contender.
Yeah,
somewhere along C minus maybe in terms of expectations for them.
It made me a bit sad to see Carrigan's tweet. I hope I get to play here again. I was like, wow,
actually,
fucking hell, man.
Actually, that was a big surprise for me, honestly, to read that. Even though it's not that unrealistic, it's just putting it out there. It's does this mean he's already thinking about retiring, or does he think he can't keep up, that he wouldn't be able to keep up essentially because of, there's all of the talk about the classic 6-month Kerrigan window and all of this bullshit, and that they'll want to replace him? Or how does this affect the rest of the team when they read this?
I think the next major will be telling, right? If they don't make the playoffs of the next major, then the team has to have a conversation. At the moment, as long as they can just get things back online, I don't think they're as well put together as a G2 or Heroic at the moment, right? So I think that the conversations you're having there, Prof, they probably are starting to swirl. And if they don't do well at the next major, then probably something will have to change going forward. I don't know what that would be, but I would assume that they would want to, because at that point, it'll have been a year since they've really done any hardcore winning, right? So I think for this event...
any kind of winning.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say one title. Yeah, one title during this first half of the season, I think, would kind of show FaZe that, okay, we can still win. Maybe other teams have caught up, other teams are more competitive now, but we are still a title contender.
Yeah, I don't think that they need to. The thing is, they obviously need to add some more to their game and do some more work and maybe iron out their map pool a little bit more of where they're comfortable. But I don't think that this team needs to, that's why the Carrigan thing caught me so off guard. It's I don't think this needs to happen. In that G2 game, he was he was competitive as an individual. Like he was hitting
Yeah.
shots. Like, and that G2 game was one of my favorite games to watch throughout that entire tournament.
Banger game.
Right. So that's why like a C- because it is FaZe, right? Because it's the team that I think we all would have loved to have seen in the playoffs, because then they really become like giga FaZe. But yeah, like I don't think there's too much cause for concern for the team. They just got to keep plugging away. So I put missed IGS attempt, and you can do it. Keep on going. So that's my notes.
Wait, how many they
They
have?
got 3 more.
3 more. So that
Pro
would be
League,
EPL,
Brazil, and Dallas.
yeah, there we
and
go.
G2 won't be in Dallas. No, G2 won't be in Brazil, right?
Yep.
So there's a chance that they could do it there. And the thing is, this is maybe something that people aren't too familiar with the Intel Grand Slam. So right now with the Intel Grand Slam, like outsiders have a win. Vitality have one, right, from the Pro League.
G2
FaZe
have
are the
one.
ones on 3. G2 have one. I think there's one more. I think there's one more team with one in there. Like, isn't it Cloud9 from their Dallas win?
Cloud9 from Dallas.
Yeah. So if FaZe win, like let's say next event, Pro League, G2 win. So now they're on 2. But G2 didn't want to go to Brazil. Let's say FaZe go to Brazil. They win in Brazil. Then they wipe everybody else's progress clean.
Yep.
So then G2 and everybody have to start from the beginning again. So FaZe have a chance to like deny any of the hard work that has been done by G2 in the lead up if they do win the next one. But we have it with a C-. Do we want it to be a C? Actually, I want to give them a C+. Because
To FaZe.
yeah, man. Like they got a passing, because they still play good Counter-Strike, and I still consider them elite level team. I don't think they're far off from being where they need to be. I think that like they lost to 2 teams. I think they should have beaten Liquid, right? But Liquid's also a very good team.
Liquid's a very good team when Viakindar is playing. That is the kind of caveat there.
Like, is he playing every game?
Well, sometimes he is and sometimes he isn't.
Sometimes he's not playing to the potential he has, for sure.
There's definitely games that are a bit hit and miss. A little bit hit and miss with the Liquid boys, but that'll be soon. So this right now, gentlemen, while I find my C, I have to do so much fucking moving around to shit. This one here is our last team for the group stage, right? So we've covered off all the play-in teams. Now we've covered off all the group stage teams.
Group stage.
And now as we move to slide number 7, we're getting into the playoff teams. So this is where we're looking at outsiders. Sorry, not outside. Yeah. Is it outsiders? Vitality. Vitality. We're looking at Vitality. 5th to 6th. They won 5 maps, lost 5 maps. Top 10 teams they beat. Only Fnatic. That was the only top 10 team that they had beaten. We are now, with the teams in the top 6, we're looking at the top 10 teams that they beat here, because I think this is important to see who they beat in their campaign.
Okay.
They played 10 maps, but they only played 4 different maps: Mirage, Overpass, Inferno, and Nuke. So didn't have to expose too much of their map pool here. Sphinx was looking better in patches, I guess, but the stats don't seem to reflect a lot of that. And yeah, they got knocked out in the quarterfinals. So I don't know. We still hear about this communication stuff. There's a rumor about Dupree now maybe not playing, going for some parental leave. But I thought the entire runway was them for Rio, them for Paris. Sorry, fucking cities, man. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where to place this team.
He could be out just for EPL and come
That's
back
true.
for the RMR. The RMR is like in a month and a half.
Well, what do we give
Start of
Vitality
April.
though, boys? They fucking made the playoffs. They made another playoffs. They had
They probably should
easier
have made the
group.
semis as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
the 0% comeback
That's right.
from Liquid on Overpass that allowed them to win in 3.
That says a lot about their problems, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It really did. That was like a very quiet Zaiwu map as well, which is kind of frustrating to watch. It's like, hey, you are the man, do the thing. Do the thing, win the round somehow. But it's not easy, especially Overpass D side. It's, you can't really one man.
Yeah, but you're not okay. But
You're
like
not one man,
13-2,
you're one god.
that's fair enough.
Yeah,
I was just watching that game, and I was like, it was 11-0, and Rask, like the StudiK journalist next to me, was saying, but did they fix their T side? And I'm like, they're not gonna need a T side. They spoiler alert, they needed a T side.
I was watching it with Carmack, and the score got to like 10-0 or something like that, or 11-0. And I said, if they still get 4 rounds, they can still win this map, right? Because we know how difficult the T side of Overpass is, right? So like, I don't think any of us here are acting like it's easy to come back from 11-4, but it fucking seems real difficult to come back from 13-2, right? It's possible.
From 12-0 even, like.
Yeah, it's possible to come back from 11-4. it doesn't feel possible to come back from 13-2. So the fact that they did, that was like an old school fucking like old school 1.6 nuke or 1.6 train before Taz and everybody worked out how to get up mid. Anyway, that's real old school Counter-Strike there.
A long time ago.
But yeah, I think that collapse, I think it's probably done a lot of damage, right, to a team that already seems like it maybe mentally is not one of the strongest with some of the reactions and whatnot that we see from them. So I don't know. I know that this team's timeline is the Paris Major, but I don't know. For me, I would give them a C+, just like we gave FaZe. It's a passing grade. A team of this caliber, aren't we expecting them to make the playoffs? And then they didn't show great CS.
I think at least one quality that I see from them is still kind of like the continuation of Spinx's recovery, because as much as it wasn't some amazing event, you know, he definitely had moments where he was the Spinx that we knew from before. Even in that Liquid series that it ended up losing, he was playing really well. So at least I see that from them, you know, because that is their prerequisite for winning. Like they need more than just ZywOo. Like we've said that forever, you know, like it can't just be the ZywOo show. Like it can't. And obviously Magic's not necessarily in the positions to be like a big star for the team. Dupree's kind of inconsistent. Apex is always going to be Apex. Like he's just going to be, apparently he's just going to be super up and down.
He was more reeled in though. Some position changes. He wasn't as YOLO.
I don't know. I still saw the same exact moments I see always from Apex. So I'm not sure that there's maybe position. I didn't pay attention to positions, to be fair. Maybe something changed, but the same moments happen all the time.
Yeah, okay. Well, but yeah. Well, I guess the team going forward, like they'd have to iron out a lot of these issues for them to be like, if their trio is ZywOo, Spinx, and Magic fragging, well, we know to be like the best team in the world right now, you need 4 players who can play well, right? And I think that's the issue, is we don't know if they can do that. And with communication issues and with some of these scenarios you're talking about with Apex, you kind of lump it all in and it doesn't sell people, but they still made the playoffs, but they had an easier group. So as I'm trying to like weigh this up on my scales here, that's why it's like,
I mean, they beat the NIP and Fnatic to get out of the group. So
that's why the only top 10 team they beat was Fnatic.
For me, honestly, their grade needs to be like FaZe or lower. Can't be better.
Okay. I'll give them a C+. They made the playoffs.
I agree.
I can't fuck with the playoffs, right?
No.
So if they come in and they say, hey, Professor, and they're talking to all of us right now, Prof, not just you. And they're going, mate, we still made the fucking playoffs. What else do we have to do to get a good grade around here? And you couldn't answer that.
Good teams.
Well, yeah, but
no,
they still made the playoffs.
Honestly, we made that thing at the beginning of the year when we were just like, guess the major winner. And I said Vitality, and I'm like,
take it back.
That was just like a random guess anyway. But now I am regretting that heavily.
Yeah.
I don't think they win it with like this constellation of players, like the Dupree Apex combination and just Apex in itself. I don't think Dupree is like helping them win that much, but I think Apex is definitely holding them back in a way. I just think it's like nothing's going to change until they.
But we don't expect any changes before Rio, right? Unless it's just a stand-in for Dupree while he's out.
Yeah, you just want to.
I keep saying Rio.
Yeah,
Rio.
Why do I keep saying Rio?
Because you're in your
favorite city.
But I just said the major. I'm just gonna say the major. I'm just gonna say the major. I'm not saying Rio anymore. I'm just saying major. We're getting rid of the word. It's out of my brain. All right, they got a C+. Outsiders. Chiron gets an A from me, but the rest of the team, 100%. I don't know what the rest of the team gets. 7 wins, 6 losses in maps. Top 10 teams that they beat were OG and Complexity, who have only recently been put up into the top 10. 5th, 6th placing. They played a lot of Overpass, for fuck's sake. Inferno, Vertigo, Mirage, and Anubis. James, highest rated player. Kick-It, lowest rated player. Those are the highlights. What are the lowlights?
Bro, James' survival rating was like, even for him, was ridiculous. It was like, he survived like 55% of rounds. Like something.
People are posting in chat.
Like fucking outrageous.
1.62 KD. The fuck. Crazy scenes.
So is he? Well, yeah.
That is just like that is the James. That is the James style. Like we know. Oh, sorry.
I feel like he didn't start great. Actually, someone just made a crazy suggestion. Sir Bishop minus Kick-It plus Inters.
I mean, is it going to change how the team plays? It's not.
No, but do you think you're going to get more out of Inters or Kick-It?
I think he's more suited for the role potentially.
Yeah, maybe.
That's fucking Sir Bishop over here. Someone needs to get on the phone with Dastan. That could be pretty good.
There's one thing I actually looked into in terms of Chiron, which was really interesting to me because I was like trying to pinpoint like what exactly his role is when like and all that stuff. And it's like T side, he is by far the most involved in opening duels, which is what you would expect from a guy who's kind of replacing Rikindar, and like Norbert in that role, obviously. But then on CT side, he is by far the least of the team. So it's like 25% or 24% on T side and like 13% on CT side for Chiron. And that's because I think on TCT side, we were looking into it, and he's like playing Anchor on Mirage, so basically B side on Mirage. A lot of the maps he's playing Rotator, and like he's very removed from any sort of like aggressivity.
Weird that he's playing Rotator, isn't it?
That is very weird for a player like that.
Same with MPL. It
Like,
just blows my mind.
Yeah, generally, like if you look at these players, like that are like generally naturally aggressive and want to go for plays. Like I don't know any other player that plays like this. Like that plays the most aggressive role on T side and just wants to be
rotating,
or not wants to be, but like is going to be like in the most passive, like least involved roles on City side,
and key decision making roles where you have to like rotate based off information, have util ready and everything like that, right?
Yeah,
like it's actually difficult.
Yeah. So I'm
keeps him alive, I guess.
And it's even what is the difference, like his rating on T side is 117, I think was, and 1.03 on CT side. And so like you can tell, and that is just through impact, through opening kills and multi kills and things like that. Even though he gets a lot of kills on CT side, he just doesn't have the same impact as on T side. So I'm curious about how that's going to develop and if they're going to move him around, because I had a conversation with him, and I had an interview, and then we talked a little bit afterwards, and he said like it will be obvious once we play next that there's going to be some changes, So I'm curious if that's potentially something that they will adjust. But generally, like, I mean, Chiron was, as you say, I think he does get an A because he was super consistent. Basically just had one bad map. He kind of took it out on himself in that Navi quarterfinal, and that did kind of cost them the map. If he was up on at the same way that he was during the group stage, or even the first map against Navi, they would have maybe had a chance to go to the semis and then potentially further. So generally, I think like good signs of overall from him, like as that this was the right move, and so I would say like a higher passing grade,
a B minus.
Something like
I'm leaning towards C plus because they had
the path was easy, was fairly easy to
because they had a beatable Navi in front of them, honestly, and it didn't look like they had much of a chance in the actual game.
But I felt I saw more potential here than I did. I don't know. Some of their rounds were still a bit slow. I was gonna say than last year where they struggled towards the tail end. But yeah,
I mean, to be fair, like they nearly lost the complexity in the playoffs. Like their path wasn't super hard. Like they lost to Fnatic, then they beat NIP, OG complexity to make it to the playoffs. So in terms of like, if you compare it to like a FaZe or not Vitality necessarily, but like some of these teams that had a harder path, I think that was definitely easier.
Okay, so you want to go C plus?
I like C plus.
All right.
B for boring.
C plus. Chiron gets an A. Chiron gets an A. Okay, cool. We got 4 teams left. All right, Navi next.
Here we go.
Now, this is crazy with Navi. There was a lot of conversation about their Inferno. They played at the most 5, and then they played Mirage, Nuke, Overpass, Ancient, and Anubis once apiece. Third, fourth, obviously. 6 wins, 4 losses. Top 10 teams they beat were Liquid and Outsiders. NPL, I don't know how much we can expect here out of the kid. Electronic and Simple. Well, I would say Electronic in terms of impact round on T sides and some of their Inferno games felt like he had to do it all. There's a conversation about Simple now. Has he lost it? Is he missing the touch to be like a superstar player at the moment? And obviously we saw all the interviews and everything like that in the post-mortem. So what are we thinking about Navi here, gentlemen?
I think overall I still like heading into the playoffs. Overall, I still put them as the 3rd best team on my power ranking, just because of kind of like it's not like they had an easy path. They played Cloud9, Liquid, and Outsiders to get to the semi. Lost to G2, G2 and Heroic. Like in a way that just outlined the entire tournament for me. Like it's just like how far ahead of everybody else is G2 and Heroic. And then like there's a big gap, and then there's all the other teams, And Navi, I still thought that we're somewhere up there along with Liquid, Vitality, potentially FaZe, that kind of like a group of teams that's actually look competitive. I actually thought Navi looked better than I would have expected them to after the spring groups.
Yeah, I agree.
Because after spring groups, I just didn't think they were going to make playoffs in Katowice at all. So considering considering the path, I think it's still decent. It's not like where they want to be, clearly. They're clearly far away from being a contender, from being at the same level as G2 and Heroic, but I think it's decent enough.
Prof, what are you feeling?
I think their results are better than what they looked.
Okay.
Like to add on to like what Striker said.
The fact they
Like-
could only really pick Inferno shows like how shallow they are in their development, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems very limited in a way.
Yeah,
not
it does.
They seem very limited, and obviously there's like bad signs across the board for literally everything. Like there's not a single thing that you can look at and be like, oh, this is fine. No, like nothing is fine. Like Simple's performances the last 3 months have been like the worst. It's probably like his worst 3 months in the last 5 years.
That would be interesting to go look at.
Yeah, it should probably go. I think it's his last like kind of underwhelming patch was when Zeus retired and like all of that went down and they were kind of in flux. And this is a similar situation, right? To that, because the team is in flux. They do have Electronic like committing to IGLing, but no one's from the outside really happy about that. Their signings have been like SDY. We can talk about the whole interview that came out with Blade as well. SDY wasn't cutting it. NPL is now coming in, and him playing connector on Mirage does not make any sense to me.
No, that's why I've given their CT setup an F on Mirage.
Yeah, that's he was like doing nothing in the most important role on the
whole setup doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
the whole
like,
Mirage CT setup just needs to change. Electronic play short, bit play connector. MPL can take the anchor bitch role
way
of B.
around is also fine. Like Perfecto was, I don't know why we're moving Perfecto from B to
I think the best anchors in the world on Mirage now play A. I think the best anchor, because it's like Shush, JKS, put Perfecto over there. He's the same. I think that the A bomb site is a harder anchor position than I think B. I think B sucks. Don't get me wrong. I think B fucking sucks. But I think you have less options over there of variants of how you can get exploited. Whereas on A, there's so many different like lurks and ways that they can draw out like angles to take fights on you. So I would like to see him.
So obviously they lose to Heroic, and that we can talk about that game, because for me that was like a complete outplay from Heroic. Like
they got botted,
Even if some of the scores looked close, like the games, the rounds itself, like their rounds were Heroic won, or like either complete blowouts or like completely like outplayed in like a 2v2, 3v3 situations, and then there was like Navi squeaked in one round, and that's like kind of how it looked. Never looked like Navi had any chance to win the game, right? And that is fine. Like that is how it was supposed to be, right? That is the balance of powers between these two teams now. But I don't know. Then after that, everything that came after that loss for me was awful. The whole like people shit their pants. Okay, they probably did.
You didn't like it?
Who are we talking about here? Because for me that's an important question. If you pull in NPL, put him on the Katowice stage, and expect him to not shit his pants, and it's like, why are we expecting this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And if it happens, then why are you talking about it? And that he like expanded that there's more players, but who are these players? Like, if it's Electronic, then fine. Maybe we can say something about Perfecto, who has been around for like 2 years now. But it's just weird that he went out on other players when he didn't play that well either. So just like, just take the blame collectively instead of pointing fingers, right?
Yeah, I think you could tell even during the game that he was really tilted. Like there were a couple of positions where like the game was still kind of going, like the round was still kind of live, but he had like what I could only call kind of like a Kenny S reaction, where he almost like took his hands off the keyboard and mouse, and like, what the fuck is happening? Like some things like this, where like that's as simple as much as like we see that sometimes. It generally he's able to keep it keep a lid on it, and this just like that series, especially in the playoffs, like you could tell that he was just getting progressively more and more tilted with what was going on. And I mean, a part of it's like when I was doing that interview, like when I was listening to it, I mean, people can listen to his voice and the way that he talks about NPL, especially after the fact, because he said something along the lines of like, we can't be expected, to be like on a perfect level. Like we just brought in a new academy player. Like he's going to take some time. So from that, I kind of inferred that he wasn't necessarily talking about him when he was talking about like players shitting their pants, because a lot of people took it for that, for that being an attack on NPL. I really don't believe that it was. I really do think that it was about the other players.
I'm sure Simple understands that this is going to take time before they can get back to that point. But there's a reason that this guy is the best player in the world for 3 years, right? There's a reason that this guy, and I'm not justifying like being toxic and stuff, but what I'm saying is that even though he understands that it's going to take time for them to get to where they need to be, he still wants to win. Like with everything he's got, he still wants to win. And we know, and I don't know why we're acting like this is new to see this. It's not new. Like we know this.
Very old.
So why are we pretending like this has never happened before and be like, oh, he shouldn't do this? Well, no, we know this. Like this is how he is. And if
there's also a difference between he shouldn't do this and we know it's going to happen. Like
True.
we can still be like, it would be better for everyone if this, like, as I said, like it's fair to be frustrated, and I understand it completely. Like the whole situation is shit, right? It's super shit on so many levels.
Yep.
But yeah, he's not helping it be any better with the whole situation.
That's a fair point.
That's the problem, and that's kind of it. Like obviously they're looking for solutions, and none of the solutions really are going to work quickly. And the question is if they're going to work ever, right? If NPL is ever going to be like a player worthy of Navi or whatever. At the same time, they also have like 4 other players that should be sick and have been sick. So it's more about everything than just NPL being not good enough.
I think for Navi, right, when you consider the fact this kid's coming in and now he's having to play all 6. I can't say cities. I can't say numbers. All 6 maps in the map pool. They have to bring him in. They have to try and shore him up for everything. They had a really limited amount of choices. They just kept picking into Inferno, which sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. This is going to take time. As we're talking about, Simple's not playing his absolute best Counter-Strike at the moment. Bit and Perfecto also look like they are struggling a little bit compared to what their standard is. So there's some stuff that has to change probably in terms of like tactics and approach to the game, I would imagine. There has to be a lot of updating for NPL and experience that you would want to happen quickly. But this is now going to take some time. The fact that they made it to the playoffs here, I think, is impressive considering they were in the group of death. So I look at that and I think to myself, for where this team should be at, they probably shouldn't have made the playoffs. Yeah. Like they probably shouldn't be in the playoffs here, but they did. So like I would whack these guys with like a B- in our report card system here.
Yeah,
because
I'm fine with
that.
That
is pretty decent. Yeah,
I think in terms of what they accomplished, they should be happy, but I understand why they're not happy because of how they lose and how things unfold. Essentially what Simple said in the interview was like people aren't speaking, aren't doing things together. And that's a frustrating way to lose because
that is very frustrating.
You can do better. It's just like the initiative is not there. It's not like, oh, they out-aimed us or whatever. It's more like we're not doing anything, just letting them beat us.
I think there's a big thing like Counter-Strike at this level, right? Like you watch a game, it's very rare unless you're watching like Outsiders when they were having Fame solo A and 4 players sit B and do nothing on Overpass for fucking what felt like an entire half, right? It's very rare that you see Counter-Strike players just sit still consistently. Like they'll hold an angle, then they'll either react to something that happens on their screen or they'll get some information and they'll react off of that. And then they group up and they're in a pack and then they trade, they flash, they have a move. Like Counter-Strike isn't played like static anymore. It's very dynamic. And to have somebody to download, especially a 17-year-old kid, to download all of the decision tree understandings, it's difficult, right? It's really difficult to do. And then doing that across 6 maps is also very difficult. And then having an environment that doesn't feel like the most nurturing, well, that's also fucking difficult, right? These guys clearly aren't building a brotherhood of safety and fucking vulnerability and all this stuff that like Heroic and G2 have. But that's something that they've worked on. Navi's is the opposite. And that's apparently a big deal for people at home, right? Like you go, no, it shouldn't be like this. This is just the way it is, guys.
That's just the
way it is.
That's also what I'm kind of like getting at. You know, like who are people to say like which thing is better, and also like in which culture? You know, that is I think the key part here, because we've seen like CIS teams behave like aggressively
while
towards
majors.
each other while winning tournaments. You know, like Navi have done this for fucking years, even before like Simple was a big part of the team. Like there was like I saw Navi fucking argue over the stupidest shit, like at a 13-5 scoreline, like when they were up, you know, like way comfortable before Simple was in that team. Like when it was still like kind of like Zeus and Edward and like
How
well,
many
not
times have
Electronic
you
at that time.
seen EG argue for like the inverse point?
Because
right?
it's like, yeah, exactly. But
they don't
like,
argue, but they also don't win. So
right.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, like, this obviously creates a really high expectation atmosphere, and like, I'm not actually sure that it's bad overall. Of course, I'm sure like it could be hard on certain players sometimes, but it will push you to do better. You know.
Let's boil it down to this, right? This is the fact of the matter of how it is. If you as an individual, right, and I'm not saying us, I'm saying like the viewers and listeners at home, if you, the individual, have a strong reaction to how that team environment is, then what that's saying is that you would not like to be in that team environment.
Right.
Right. And I'm sure that maybe players who are there in that team might not like to be in that environment, but then that is up to them to deal with that. All we can comment on is the fact of the matter. And if things are I'm not going to say they're working, but if things are that way, then that's the way they are. Like, I'm fed up of like this.
I mean, there's like
why are we trying
to?
Yeah.
There's the whole Michael Jordan documentary, you know, where it's very clear, like as a teammate, you know, like he could be really hard on people and things like that. And you know, like we know what kind of a player that was in a different sport, and like that is just like how certain teams will operate, you know, and that is something that will like genuinely motivate people because they can handle it. You know, they're used to that, and they just have a completely different mentality than, you know, like the Western culture that is like all about kind of like being careful about what you say.
You watched the James Yakinda thing with the subtitles?
Actually, did not.
Okay, you should watch it. You guys should definitely spend time watching it. I would strongly recommend it. It's about 20-25 minutes. And in there, James asking about like talking about mistakes in the team, and Yakinda's saying, yeah, you can't talk to each other like we would, right? Because it's straight to the point. It's matter of fact. And like people get their feelings hurt.
Yeah, they would just say to themselves like, "You fucked up. You like this was just genuinely wrong," you know. And Yakinda was like, "Yeah, you can't be that straightforward with Liquid, you know." And so it's just different culture, you know. They just don't take this. They take these things the same way that you look at it and think, "Oh, that's just wrong. That's toxic. That's creating an atmosphere where like the youngster is just gonna struggle." Right? Some people, I'm sure, like there will be people that will have a hard time dealing with that, you know.
But
at the same time,
100%.
But at the same time, like, are those people cut out to be like at this kind of a level and just like having those sort of expectations? Like, is that player going to cut it like at the top if there's not like he can't handle the pressure, you know? Yeah. So like I'm not like, I can't judge teams for behaving this way because I can't tell that is genuinely wrong, you know? Just some teams just function better that way.
Yep. All right. Do we want to jump onto the next team here?
I wanted to mention something else that that popped up. Obviously, there is the Bleed interview. Whatever. Don't need to go into details, but it was kind of a grim outlook. It's like a 15-20 minute. Yeah, and it was about. It was mentioned like SDY was mentioned, and in terms of like they would never sign someone that's older than 25, but then like he expanded in the interview as well, and that's why I feel like so frustrated to read that title because no one's going to go into the details and read the actual interview. But he said like obviously if he fits super well into the system and did amazing, then we'd sign him, and there was obviously a chance for that, but they weren't going to sign him on the promise of like he's kind of okay, but maybe he develops because he is 25. He played on the top tier for like 5 years at least, and realistically he's not going to develop much. So they'd rather have a younger player and, you know, flip the coin and, you know, roll the dice to see, okay, maybe this guy's the next, you know, bit or something.
Bladey was even saying like we need a strong player in 2 years, you know, like he was even putting up those sort of expectations on NPL, you know, like they're not expecting him to be like amazing at right now. You know? They didn't expect Bits to be amazing at that time.
It's just kind of out of context quote, and people are just gonna take it away and run with it. The second thing is like there was a Reddit thread, and there's a clip from Overdrive where he says that Nexa might be joining Navi.
All right, moving swiftly on to talking about Liquid now. How much Russian does Nexa know?
Well, it's a Slavic language.
Yeah, that's about it.
So maybe zero.
They do have Cyrillic in Serbia as well, so at least that's like an easier transition.
If they write down stuff, then
okay. Well, we know they like a lot of notes. All right, let's move on to Liquid now before we all go completely crazy here today. If that does happen, we'll revisit it and we'll say Prof was a prophet.
I mean, I didn't say it's gonna. I just said this is a thing. This Overdrive said.
Only a few people can talk to the God Overdrive, and if you're one of them, you know, if you can be there, you can receive the offerings of the God Overdrive. Then that's great. You bring it to the people. We need someone to bring it to the people. Okay, Liquid, Striker, I know you got a hard on for these guys. Third, fourth, eight maps won, 7 lost. Top 10 teams beaten, FaZe and Vitality. Played some Inferno, Overpass, Anubis, Mirage, and Nuke. So the only map that we didn't see them playing here was was Ancient. And yeah, what would you make over their showing, Striker?
I'm just sometimes a bit frustrated with how they can look like a really great team, and then they like the next map they would just get blown out, and they would just look super disjointed, entirely like not a functioning team. So I'm disappointed by that, even though their tournament obviously went pretty well. They've just been pretty consistent, like ever since Skinionaire came in. But like it's just like at least tournament results wise,
The
it's
CT
just kind of like
Inferno
I'm still.
sucks.
Where did they play CT Inferno? Can you
It just
refresh my
sucked.
memory?
There were so many games where they were just down in a hole. They
I mean,
weren't winning many
the
rounds.
G2 one, yeah. I mean that's the one that I
I don't even think it was just the G2 one. Didn't they play IHC as well?
Yeah,
They started down in a massive hole against IHC.
Unlike Cloud9, at least they won that on T side. I remember that one too. But I mean, it's just in general, I think there was like I'm gonna be kind of like overly negative, even though they went far at the tournament, right?
Do it.
But I do think that there's got to be some changes in terms of OC, and I'm not saying that he needs to be changed. But I think the way that he approaches the game is just sometimes way too passive, and I'm not sure if it's kind of like because of the role that he has, and he's just kind of gotten used to that. But like there are situations where he's just playing way too scared, way too not like he's kind of confident in winning duels and things like that. Like I don't know, like there's one round that I'm hope people go back and kind of like look at as kind of like the biggest example of this. It was like a 1v1 on Mirage where he was this in the semifinal? Was this in the semifinal even? Do you remember what I'm talking about, Prof?
Yeah, the pistol.
I'm trying to remember. No, he had an op.
But that went to the pistol.
He pulled out a pistol. Exactly, yeah. But there was just a 1v1, right? And somebody was planting towards connector behind, like on the triple box or whatever it's called.
Okay.
Just like classic connector plant from like between the two boxes, right? OC was on CT. They both knew about each other. He knew about the where the bomb planter was, and what OC decides to do is just go hide behind ticket and pull out his pistol.
So someone maybe comedy was low.
Just wait it out. No,
maybe someone comedy was low.
This is possible, but I'm still kind of confused about why he would hide in the first place, because he gave up information at that moment entirely. Like he had no idea where the other player was going to go after the bomb plant. It was against Hunter. I think that was the G2 semifinal. And then he even like as he stopped hiding out, which just was a very weird decision in the first place. You don't want to give up information at that point. If you think he's low, you can just pull out a pistol and just like go look for the duel, because you think you're gonna win.
He
right?
played very passive.
He played insanely passively in a position where he just needed to keep the information on his side and knowing where the other player was and holding the angle or whatever it was,
The pre-ace round, people are saying, and also Joe Castillo says someone calmed, he's one hit. So
okay,
that
he wasn't, but it doesn't matter necessarily. And like my point, right? It was just more about like the way that he played that situation, and it's not just one example. This is just like the worst example that I saw of that situation. So okay. I just think his role necessarily isn't. I'm not sure if it's not comfortable for him or what it is exactly, but he does need to find a little bit more consistency for them to be great and really a title contender.
Yeah, okay. I thought that he actually had a tournament that was better for his standards in terms of not all of the maps, of course, because they played fucking 15 maps, but some of the maps he started to have some more impact and he felt a bit more confident. There were plays that he was happy to make. Yeah, sure. There was some of the misses like you're talking about there. But like I feel like when these guys all go back to North America, they all get like Barney Rubble brain. They just go caveman again because I don't know, they were over, but they were playing a little bit.
By the way, it wasn't against G2 because they didn't play Mirage. It must have been the Mirage, the Vitality quarterfinal.
Yeah. But I just think like it sends them back so far, and then it just takes them a while to climb back into it here. Like if they continue at this trajectory, you look at this team since Yakinda's joined, and it hasn't been hugely convincing. Right, like it's been good runs, but the type of Counter-Strike always seems like a little bit shaky, and then they just get through because they have then they pull it together, right? But if them pulling it together, if they can work out how to get that lightning in a bottle, right? I feel like we need more from Elysian Yakinda consistently, right? Because Naf is always bringing his full plate of bread to the table. Everyone's fucking having something to eat when Naf's in the server. OC, I think this could be like a tournament for him that's a turning point where he starts to feel more confident. Sure, right? As you mentioned, you're talking about a misplay here that you saw. But I think that there was some moments where he felt more enabled. He felt like he was getting in the groove a little bit more. And even Nitro had some moments throughout the tournament where he was hitting some big shots and doing good. Now, again, I still think this was a shaky performance to get the 3rd, 4th. I don't think they're going to say, yeah, this was a game, like we felt confident in all of our matches to get through. And they definitely had to battle through. But it's there. They're like, for me, they're right there. Like they need to take that leap where everything just comes together and it works because the experience is there. I think the ability is there. I think Yakinda helps them with the meta a lot, but they still have to fill in some of the gaps. This isn't just James' system. This is a mixture of the two. So I feel like they're there, but maybe I'm being too nice. I've been really nice to North America tonight. I mean, what's going on with me?
Look, in terms of Katowice, I mean, I think they had probably the hardest run out of anybody because they played, well, IHC first, but then NAVI, Spirit, FaZe, Vitality, G2. Like that is a difficult run, man. Like that is 4 really strong teams, 4 teams that made it to top 8 plus Spirit.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I would give him a B+ if it was me. I was pretty happy with Liquid. I don't know about overall, the 7 map pool thing. I know that I like the fact that they can flex nuke against weak nuke teams and ban it against strong nuke teams. I don't think it should be one of their go-tos. But
I'm
if they want
sure
to
they can flex it. Like they flexed it against Vitality and they got destroyed on it. And Vitality is not a good nuke team.
Did they win a single nuke game?
They won it against Spirit, actually.
Yeah. They only played it twice. So that would be the 2 occasions, right? Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, winning against Spirit is pretty nice. Yeah.
Spirit played nuke 5 times and only won it once. So if the stats only go up, Spirit's nuke is dog tier at the moment.
Yeah, it was a Spirit pick. That's nice. That shows something, but I'm not really convinced into like the whole 7 map thing. Makes sense.
It's giving them more workload. I'd give him a B.
Yeah.
Are we happy with a B?
Yeah, let's do B.
I'm okay with a B, yeah.
B, red, marker. I don't have a B.
It's from Striker, OC, still question mark, and then from you, it's Yakinda or Liege.
Mine was all nice. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I want more consistently out of Yakinda and Liege. All right, I'm not good at multitasking, guys. I wasn't equipped this way. I wasn't born this way.
I'm gonna talk.
Well, we're to the final 2 teams.
I'm gonna talk. Is this how filling works? No.
Yeah. You just keep saying I'm gonna. If the image tab doesn't work. Let's try this image. Is this image gonna work? Here we go. I didn't prepare. This is the only thing I didn't prepare was these on the back end.
Nothing is.
It's a B+. Okay. I only can find a B+. They're gonna get a B+. That's because what I can find. Striker wants more from OC. SPUNJ wants with more. That's weird. Once more from Yak and Elige. There we go. All right, report card, Joker Steve. You can take that to your team tomorrow, mate. I'm sure they'll really love that. All right. Heroic. Who wants to kick us off with the Danes? Anybody want to pick up on the Danes?
I mean,
no one?
They were just very clearly the second best team at the tournament, right?
Well, like this is the whole conversation, right? The collision course for Heroic and G2, the 2 best looking teams. Now, Heroic didn't start the year in that way. It was pretty, it was pretty rocky in the Blast Spring groups, right? But then they got their shit together here. Yabi with a really standard performance. Yabi gets an A. Yabi's getting an A. Yabi gets an A. I think
that the whole team is a like Yabi gets an A+, maybe even, yeah.
Okay.
I think the whole team has maybe come up like an A because we knew this was going to be the story arc, and I think the final was, considering the map pool early on, I think the final was closer than I expected in terms of score lines on each map. Obviously, apart from Ancients, I kind of thought that they would go with a Vertigo pick and just kind of like not let G2 have so much comfort.
Yeah, right.
Early on in the best of 5. I thought that was kind of a mistake because obviously, you know, Mirage is just a map that G2 will be able to play against anybody at any time. Like they will be happy to get that map in any map pool pretty much. And then obviously Nuke and Inferno, 2 maps that they had a streak on. Obviously Heroic ended it, and Heroic were a really strong team on Inferno, really strong team on Mirage, and there was a reason behind it. But I felt like that was kind of a mistake. Maybe G2 would have gotten rattled. You know, if there was Vertigo on second map, Heroic wouldn't win Vertigo, then maybe, you know, they win Inferno, and then like G2 is under pressure, you know, and G2 will have to be in a position where they've historically not shown the most resilience, in difficult positions, So I think this was, as much as usually I'm kind of like, you're going to play the same 5 maps anyway, and it doesn't necessarily matter which order so much.
I feel
in this case, in this case, I really thought that was a missed opportunity from Heroic not to go for a bit more of a punish pick rather than going for their comfort.
Yeah. But you also, I don't know, I'm not a big like map pool guy in general. But I feel like when you look at how the maps played out, it's one of those things where Heroic had chances to win on all of the maps.
Yes.
That they played. We're not on Ancient. I feel like Ancient was the most like one-sided, but the first 3 maps they could have won all 3. It could have been a 3-0 for Heroic. It wasn't that close, but you could see how like some rounds, like the Heroic ace on Nuke, Heroic Hunter ace on Nuke, like a 2v4 or something, and a couple of these rounds that fell apart, that things could have went a different way if they were just more on point. So I wouldn't harp too much on the map pool. And like, I think the way they played Mirage against Navi, for example, gave them enough confidence to be like, we can beat G2 on it. I mean, G2 is good, but whatever, we can beat any team on it. Essentially, that kind of a thinking. So I don't feel too bad about the order of pick. I just think that on the day, in the moment, they didn't really play to the potential that they have as individuals.
I think you could tell that the pressure was on in grand final in general for both sides.
Teams,
it didn't matter necessarily on who, and eventually Heroic lost that battle just because I was even looking through the stats of kind of like win rates on maps and certain score lines, and so Heroic were at 10-5 on CT side Nuke, which is like around a 65 to 70% win rate.
Okay,
and then they were up 6-1 and 8-3 on Inferno CT side, which is around 80% win rate on the map, and then and then Mirage was 85% chance. I don't remember what the scoreline was exactly. It was, I think, 12-6 or something like that. Let me see. It was 8-1. They were up 8-1 on Mirage, and that was kind of like an 85% chance to convert. And like these, you can't give up these leads, in grand finals and think you're going to be a tournament winner. So I think that showed kind of who dealt better with the pressure and who kind of stepped up in the right moments, because that was the big reason why Hunter got the MVP. Like, he was a player that definitely was the biggest difference maker in that grand final in general, and in the plays that he made at really key points across those maps, and maybe Heroic didn't really have that player consistently.
Yeah, Stown was missing, right? Like, I'm not saying Hunter is the Stown of Heroic, but Hunter was the guy making plays. Yabi was still doing everything he was doing. Acadian was definitely the guy trying to open up a lot of rounds. It felt like Acadian was trying to do an awful lot, maybe more than he traditionally does. We know he's very active, but it felt like he was a few more. Tessus had a bit of a rough go of things. Then he had that Inferno game where he turned it on. I think for me, it was Stown, right? Because the thing with this team is, we always talk about like who's the star, and we go, oh, well, they're 5 strong players, but I still expect to see Stown towards the top of the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Now, if that is meant to be the consideration, he's meant to be the star. Like, he still had a 1.06 rating overall, but with Stown, he's meant to be like, he's the guy with the big swing rounds, who's made the crazy play. Like, if he can find that form in big matches, Yabi doesn't have to play like this, right? He could actually have a lower rating than he did right here, and you still get the same or a little bit more out of Tessus and Shush, which I think is also possible. Okay, Heroic could win that grand final.
Yeah.
Right. I think that game, you played a couple of times, you get the players playing a little bit better form, because I don't think that was the best Heroic we've seen in the server. I know that there's more for that team and the players to give, which is why, like, I think even though they lost and they know they can play better, I would still kind of be optimistic about it, knowing that we know we can play better and we know that wasn't like our best day at the office. So I think it's great, like the type of Counter-Strike they're playing. And I really like their approach to the game.
I'm pretty
glad
optimistic
they've been able to transition it.
Their year still. Like, obviously there's a bit of a hump in terms of exactly that, like pressure and stuff like that, but they are also a super young team, despite like them being around and being number 1 during the online era and all of these things. In terms of, playing a big final, they don't really have that much experience, and they already have shown, like, beating FaZe in Copenhagen. I feel like that's as big of a, check that you can get
Sure.
Doesn't matter that FaZe wasn't in peak performance maybe at that time. They are FaZe. It is a grand final, and there's so much pressure on you. And it wasn't like an easy game. It wasn't like a stomp in any way. It was like an active fight that they had to have going down to the wire. So I think they have what it takes. Just, you know,
they didn't do
we
it
can
this
talk
time.
about G, but they played against G2.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And that's and I still feel like maybe as a team, like overall what I saw, the calls and the moves, I almost feel more convinced by Heroic.
Okay.
But G2 just, I feel like the
Bludgeoned
rounds
them to
that they
death.
shouldn't win in general, they win more of those than Heroic, and that swings the tide of
Sure.
the game.
Well, I think if you look at it, they won 9 maps, lost 4. 3 of those 4 maps were to G2 in the grand final.
Yeah.
The only other map they
Yeah.
lost to was the Complexity. So they beat Navi, Vitality, and OG2-0. Like, that's pretty good. Like that's pretty good. So yeah, for me, Yabi an A+, Heroic get an A. There's still a little bit of room for improvement here, and I'd like to see more.
Notice Down needs to do some like extra homework, I feel like, for the
extra homework for Stown.
Yeah, maybe some like talks with whoever, someone like what's it called when you have some like help to
A tutor.
yeah.
All right, we'll get him a tutor. All right, let's move on to our last slide of the evening here, the extravaganza presentation. G2. G2
3-rated.
We've already filled them in. They get an A+. They won the event. They only lost 1 map in the entire event. They've continued to be dominant after the tail end of last year with the World Finals, the Blast Spring Groups to start the year. 11 wins, 1 loss. They beat Heroic, FaZe, Liquid, Navi on their run. They had a pretty diverse map pool. They only played Mirage once, which seems crazy to say for a Nico team. Yeah. So they played 5 out of the 7, and that's what they're going to go for. They have a hard permaban of Overpass. And then you had 4 players who played, actually 5 players who played well. Hooksy had his moments. He was in-game leading. You get this if you're an in-game leader. I'm sure he would love to get a 1.0 rating, but he made some good calls. He made a bad call running up mid with an AK in his hands on Inferno. But
what was that? What the fuck?
It's
was
probably
that?
in the prep, right? So let me. This would be why it's justified. In the prep, I would assume they go, okay, they throw this smoke, they never play behind it. But still, you should never run up through it with an AK in your hands.
Yeah.
If you have a Mac 10, fine. So you can tell that was something that they thought they prepped against, but that could have been the beginning of the end.
If that's the prep, like just have one of your other players go through.
Yeah, or I don't know, have a Mac 10 and not an AK.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if that's the prep, like literally, I don't know what the fuck. I really would want to talk to Hooksy about that and just like see what the hell.
But outside of it, that was like this team playing some great Counter-Strike, very proactive style. They have players who can bail them out in a lot of situations, a lot of 2v4 scenarios, like clutch rounds, players who are great for multi-kills. Like JKS on ramp, every time he got tested, he got a double. Right, he got a 2 every single time they came his way. Maybe not every time, but
a lot of it,
more often than not, he would get 2, which is great from your ramp anchor. Normally they get 1 and fall, or they get nothing and fall and just give up the space. I think it's crazy that they could win a grand final without Nico and Monacy having to carry. Like that's great news to show the stock in this team overall. Just a really solid team at the moment, the best team in the world, no doubt about it. Right, we had their map streak at 22 in a row, the series streak. Sorry, 21 in a row. They were aiming for 22 in a row. The fucking numbers, the fucking mate.
The
fucking numbers. The fucking numbers, man. The numbers. There's too many numbers.
I've said it too many times to not know.
12 series, right? With all that good stuff.
That's still going.
That's still ongoing.
Bro, actually, you know what's crazy? Imagine if someone told you G2 is going to win back-to-back tournaments and Nico is not going to be the MVP of either.
Crazy. No one would believe you.
People just
from a
like
different planet.
People just punch you because you're like talking to us like, wake up. What are you saying? You're not from the future. You're just delusional. But it happened. And like, I feel like he wasn't really even in contention. Like he played well, but I think like the Monacy one was pretty clear. And here was like JKS or Hunter or Yabi. Like he wasn't going to be
between those
Nico.
3 for sure. Yeah.
So
no, I think everyone agrees
crazy.
on that. I know there was a lot of conversation about JKS, like why didn't he get the MVP? He's been robbed. I would say for the tournament overall, JKS, I would give the MVP. But if we're looking at the impact that Hunter had in the semifinal and the grand final, I know, was it Harry who did the breakdown in the Reddit thread of like the difference in the stats? Then you can see there why you guys went with Hunter as the MVP. And I think either of them could have had the MVP. So You know, that's a conversation where, you know, it's good for you guys at home. You get to have that argument with your friends and try and work out, you know, why one guy should have had it and why
Who's
the
the
other
real
guy.
MVP?
And I mean, there would have also, like, if Yabi has one big map in the grand final or something, you know, like
He could have
really
taken
standout performance, there was definitely a world where he would have had it, you know. So that's that was just that was a big kind of like a swing for Hunter, just because, yeah, too much impact in the wins.
But this is the best team in the world right now, right? They're and like, obviously because they won Katowice, right? They have the target on the back now. But on top of that, they also had the most comprehensive, like over the entirety of the event, the most comprehensive gameplay, right? I would say in the final, that was maybe some of their worst Counter-Strike as a team. But it's where the individual stepped up and bailed them out in a lot of scenarios there, right? So when they even weren't playing great CS, they were still able to win rounds, which is kind of the blueprint that you need, right? If you're playing great CS and hitting all the shots, fucking fantastic. You maul everybody. If you're not playing perfect CS but hitting all the shots, it can bail you out of situations, and vice versa in that conversation too, right?
I think for me, like a big sign of their strength was just that. I mean, this is also because they have such strong individuals at the moment, and JKS is just like that fourth piece that necessarily wasn't there so much in the first few months, but like recently has definitely picked up form, and is just like creates like a fucking map that you can't enter, you know, because like you have JKS on the anchor, even him putting up really big numbers at the moment, you know. So there's nothing for you to exploit. But I think the biggest part of where I see their strength is how fucking quick they are in rotating. I don't know what it is exactly, but like every time there's a zone in contention on the map, there's like 3 players there from G2. Like it seems like every single time, even like as fights happen on the map, maybe there's like a 2v2 trade or something like that, there's already 2 other G2 players like rotated in the right spot, you know. It seems like they are so quick on their feet, so quick at setting up like the right crossfires when they're in these positions that are like super last second. They're just really on point. And I don't know what it is, if it's communication or if it's just their game plan or just like generally the mentality that they have. They run a lot, and just like wherever they hear something, they immediately like rotate, and they're super dynamic. But that's the vibe that I got from how they played, you know, constantly not giving any space whatsoever. They were always ready to fight for every zone that was up for contention, you know. Like, and that's not something that you'll necessarily see. And even in positions, you know, where like a team like obviously like outsiders, but like a Cloud9 or even Vitality, or like somebody who plays a bit more of the percentage, quote unquote, CS, they will just like wait, you know, there's like a 2v3 situation, but they will just not give you the space. Like some other teams will give you the space because they're in an advantageous situation, and you're supposed to play that like a 3v2. You're supposed to wait for your teammates. G2 don't give a fuck. They will just hold the angle and not give you the space. And that's what makes them so strong, because it's a little bit something that's still I think teams aren't getting used to, because they're expecting to have a little bit more space, to have some more time to set up the plays. If they're like in a 3v3 or something, G2 will just fight you everywhere, you know? And like, since they have individuals on point, it is going to work for them at the moment.
Do you think they are gonna, how long do you think this is going to continue? Are they going to win like the major? Obviously EPL is here. They have to play the fucking close qualifier for
this
the
is what matters the most
tomorrow.
How they do in the next few days, that I think is the most important. If they don't make it to the RMR, well, are we back in the mud?
Actually insanely crazy is like, if you have to rate the importance 1 to 10 of the RMR for G2,
probably higher than Katowice.
Just give me a number right now.
1 to 10 and 9.
Yeah. What do you think about EPL?
5.
Like a 5, yeah.
I think even 5 is probably like pushing it in terms of like how fucking important these online games are going to be. I feel like when you get to the actual RMR, I don't think they can.
It'd be hard for them to fuck that up.
But they also like the teams that they have to play here online, like they're gonna make it through. I don't know if
jinx it.
Do we have the matchups?
I don't think they're done yet.
I saw Liquipedia posted something, but somebody quoted it and said it's wrong. I don't know if it's
But do we have the teams in general? No.
The team should all be worked out now, right? All the matches should be over, so all the teams should be worked out.
Is there some still? No, never mind. Those seeding games are done.
Yeah. Open Qualifier 1, Eyeballers, Into the Breach, Viperio, iNation, Honaris, Bait, 500, Tricked, Heat, Anonymo, Mixfits, Jano, Eternal Fire, Ecstatic, LDLC, and PGE Terrao.
Yeah, I guess they're
Prof.
playing them first because they're the lowest seed. Like realistically, so 8 teams go through this, and it's like G2 Astralis, Saw 9, Copenhagen Flames, maybe 1 win. Like, would be fucking crazy if they didn't make
They
it
didn't,
through.
yeah, for sure.
Boys, I got to run to the door. My landlord's worrying about this fucking power situation. I'll be back in like fucking 5 minutes. I just got to let the guy inside. All right. We got to do the
Okay.
N1 moment. So if you want to do the N1 moment while I'm be right back,
Okay,
that'd
we
be
can
greatly
go for
appreciated.
that. Let's
BRB.
do that. Should have done that before, but we're gonna do it now.
No, that's all right. We have time.
It was a fun event. You bowed out early. You missed out the classic,
The winning moment, yeah.
the winning moment, and eventually the celebration in the hotel lobby was a banger. They were cheering MVP well for people, and I was pretty sure it wasn't the DHL MVP. I'm pretty sure they did it for Hunter, and that just confirms who the real MVP is.
To be fair, it was also Balkan people, you know. So if it was JKS, maybe
it's definitely not like SPUNJ and 20 other Australians chanting for JKS. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Do you have audio? I mean, a pretty banger moment. I was sitting with some of the Serbian G2 supporters in the crowd because there was literally no space, and I know some of them from before, and they were teaching me the song. I was kind of impressed. Actually, there's an actual like chant song going on. They put in some effort, and I don't really think it like caught on with the crowd during the grand final and the semi-final, but maybe after this video I feel like people are going to be more introduced to it. Yeah. So it's going to be a banger.
So it felt like a little bit of a Brazilian corner.
Yeah, in a way. But I hope at like the major and stuff, people, if they qualify, there's going to be more chanting, not just like let's go G2.
Yeah, that's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, to be honest. Like after anybody has won anything, maybe if, like Brazil won something, you know, that would be kind of like crazy to this kind of a level.
Yeah, I mean, it was also gotta give a shout out to Philip, the bartender at the hotel. Is like one of the best guys ever. Like honestly, there's not a lot of hotel bar lobbies that work until like 4 a.m. regularly, and that means a lot to esports. It keeps people hydrated and all the way through the night. People like having a chill, good vibe. So my proposition,
that is the guy in front, by the way, at the start of the video. That's Philip.
My proposition: we don't have to play this 75 times.
No, we can close it now.
Lucas falling asleep. My proposition is for Philip to bring out the trophy in Katowice next year. I think that would be legit. I know like a lot of the talent would support this idea. And I think if you can have the mayor of Katowice, like who cares about that guy, right? This guy is, I mean, he's also cool, probably. I don't know. Never met him. That's
am I the only one who's kind of like really against this whole eliminated players bringing out the trophy? I really think that's out of like. Am I the only one who's against eliminated players bringing out the trophy?
I think it's a bit weird.
What if they won it in the previous year though?
I think it's still.
It's still weird. I think it's still kind of like there's this kind of like unspoken rule that you're not supposed to touch the trophy.
I agree.
Until you win it.
JKS made me fucking hold it with him for a photo. I was like, Justin, I don't want to fucking touch this thing, man.
That's the
I don't
thing.
want to touch it.
Even
I don't
like
want to touch it, man.
At some point, I think I had a similar vibe. I don't know. At some point, when Astralis won something or some shit, like somebody was like almost like handed over a trophy to me just for me to hold it because they did it. Whatever. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. It's not mine. You know. That's not. It's just like kind of.
No, I agree.
Know if I'm just being too OG or whatever it is, but it's like karma.
It's sacred,
karma
bro.
thing. It's like
for
you're
winners.
not supposed to. Yeah.
It's like the Goblet of Fire. You only put your name in that shit if you're fucking ready to compete. You can't be Harry Potter putting your name in there. What are you doing, Harry?
It's like the Hall of Heroes. You can't be there if you don't win, right?
It's true. You can't live in the Hall of Heroes if you're not a hero.
But it's just generally, you know, like having eliminated players, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just not the right vibe for me. I don't necessarily care who brings it out if it's not like somebody important, you know. I don't give a shit, but Feels like
Does someone important need to bring it out? I don't care if the stage manager brings it out.
I feel like it can also be there, you know.
Do we need anybody? Can't it just already be there?
It's just a part of the show, you know, to make
Yeah.
it kind of more special. But I definitely feel like I'd rather have just people, you know, whoever from the previous iterations of CS or, you know, people that retired bring it out, even if they haven't won it, would be kind of cool, but not like people that actively like tried to win it, tried to lift it, but failed. And now they're bringing it out because they won it like 2 years ago. For me, it's kind of a confusing thing.
Well,
that's why, as I just said while you were AFK, next year, Philip, the bartender, should bring out the trophy.
Yes, he is the MVP of Katowice. He should definitely be bringing out the trophy. That'd be great. No one would know. And here comes Philip, the bartender of the hotel will remain nameless to bring out the Katowice trophy. That'd be great.
Yeah, I think it would be fucking
that.
amazing for him.
Yeah,
like, yeah, good.
You'd have a great time. Oh, well, where are we at? We did the N1 moment. We did the report card of all the teams.
Yeah. Oh, we just have a question. Yeah.
Do we have any good questions?
There were a couple of good questions. I don't know if you looked through them.
No, I didn't. I didn't look. I was too busy doing fucking report cards for 12 hours.
I can actually say something about G2 and their future. I feel like as much as this was mainly in the grand final, and I know that that's a different story, I still do think that for them to really be dominant, hooxi needs to clean it up. And in terms of both how he plays and how overconfident he can be in terms of like taking space and things like that, and also in calling, because I think it was mainly the grand final in terms of calling. I think the whole tournament in terms of his, like sometimes his overconfidence, where he just like gives up advantages. Like it's kind of like Apex vibes sometimes, you know, where he will just push and there's nobody behind him, you know, to trade or anything like that. He will just do it because whatever, he has 4 players like this behind him. It doesn't matter, like quote unquote, you know. Maybe that's the thinking. It's hard to say for me.
I see what you're taking,
but it seems like
players like Carrigan make crazy plays for their players too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a similar problem with a lot of these plays. It's not like I have a problem with the play style in general and them being in front, but it's more like the situations in which they happen where they really don't need to, like where it's objectively bad. Sometimes players will just make them because it's kind of like a calculated risk, or like they have somebody behind them that can trade and like something like this. But like a lot of the time, they will just be like somebody will stick around in a position where they're just gonna die. Like that's like if they're up against a decent team, they just will die. And so in that position, you know, you're either gonna wait for somebody to help you, or you know, just not move or not push. And then like in terms of the calling, it was just like some of those decisions on Mirage, for example. Like there was a couple of rounds, you know, like one of them where just hooxi pushed out B on his own and like ran into the side. Literally, there was nothing else going on in the map. There was just like 3 people in front of B, and they like flashed and smoked for him. And like he got into the side, there was nobody even to capitalize. You know, even if there was a trade, if hooxi got the kill there, but it wasn't. There was no like they didn't turn back to A. They even waited for like a minute until they came back to B. Literally, there was no space taken off the play. There was no trading.
I think this has happened before. We're talking about Mirage, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is a strat they've run before as well. And what happens is they get hooxi into the B side, and then it's meant to be a fake. He's meant to like get one and die. But it's happened on multiple occasions when it's done it, and they've respected the util so much. hooxi's just in B. Right. That happened before. I think it happened at the World Finals. I remember.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
It happened twice at the World Finals, and they won both rounds, even though they kind of, at some point, felt like they shouldn't win the round. It was just like Nico jumping on bench and like headshotting 2 people. It's like, I guess we win the round now.
Yeah, but my point is more like, of course, if it's a fake and then like people are ready to take advantage of that somewhere else or even in B, I understand it. But like in that position, like literally nothing happened for the next 30 seconds. Nobody was in position to take advantage of any rotation on A or in mid or being in a window and to kind of like do anything with that position. Literally nothing happened across the map while that was happening at all. And so like some of these calls that I just saw did not make a lot of sense to me. Maybe, you know, if we had somebody talk about specifics, we could kind of understand, but then they wouldn't want to talk about it because they don't want to know. They don't want people to know what exactly the point is, right?
Yeah.
But just generally, like, it's more to do with kind of like some of these overconfident moments, you know, where like they will just give up rounds based on these plays, you know, sometimes for no reason.
I think that if you think of Heroic as well, and the same as G2 at the moment, they are going to put in sometimes more of these pacier calls just to kind of force a reaction
No, but I
or something,
understand
right?
those like chaotic rounds for sure. Like,
But that's what
there's-
one of these are, right? Like, I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. Nothing happened off the back of it, but how many times are you going to execute into the B bomb site and you don't die?
But he did die.
Yeah, eventually. But I guess
No,
they
he
were
did
hoping
die.
for
Like, he just died. Even if there was a trade, there was nothing. Like, G2 couldn't have gotten anything off it. Like, there was nobody ready. Even if he got the trade, there was nobody ready to go B. There was nobody ready to be in like a middle and like sneak into a position. Literally, there was like JKS. JKS was like back apartments, not doing anything whatsoever. There was like somebody in T spawn, a couple of guys helping like utility
All right, let's
towards
do this. Let's
B.
do this.
Nothing
Hooksy,
happened.
when you see this and you listen to it, let us know. Tag us on Twitter. Explain the situation. Explain the scenario. What was expected, so Striker can have a bit of an
We
understanding.
do like
here,
a short
right?
video,
Yeah. Do
or
it.
like an
It-
audio
give-
message on WhatsApp.
Give an explainer. There was a round where you got set up to take some B space, and he's saying that there was no reaction from your teammates. Were they meant to react? Was there something wrong? Was there something we're missing here? Let's
Right.
find out from the horse's mouth when
yeah.
he gives
I mean,
us
there
this.
was another
shout out to
another.
Swanee, by the way. We didn't
there you
mention him.
Oh, that's
And
true, we
he
didn't
won
mention
2
Swanee.
tournaments now in a row. So
Yeah,
shout
good
out
job,
to him.
Swanee. No,
I have a question. If we
Go ahead.
want.
yeah. What's the question?
This is a question from Nerds CS.
Okay, nerds. Yes.
He
This is
they
nerds.
they
or
say
nerd-
nerds from ENCE now. Do you think more teams will begin to play Heroic's proactive,
Right.
death ball, loose roll approach, or is the flash in the pan style that only Heroic can do because of certain factors? Example: national language, no star rifler, Oplos, IGL combined, etc.
I would like to think more teams would try and buy into these systems where everybody's playing for one another, but at the end of the day, the goal is just to still win, right? Like, it's not to just have good stats; it's to win as a team. But you have to perform well within that. I think it's going to be difficult for teams to replicate that necessarily in the short term of those styles, because it takes a lot to do all the protocols, right? And I think that's the biggest thing. When this happens, how do we react? Needs to be a conversation before it happens in any single situation. And if those scenarios can be ironed out, this is the theory side of Counter-Strike, and then teams can have a vernacular which can cut corners so it doesn't have to be so verbose, then I think it could be possible. And I think it's the way the game is being played at the moment, because a key point Striker brought up was how quickly G2 could rotate. Well, same with Heroic. They're a team that is always rotating around and reacting to that next play, right? Or being ahead of the play in some occasions as well. So to do it, I think that some teams are going to try to do it, but it's really hard to pull off. This is something where your theory and communication need to be S tier.
Yeah.
I think
mean,
it also
the individual
takes-
level
okay, go ahead.
of all players also needs to be pretty high.
Yes,
Because if
but
you
that
have-
decision make, everyone's aim is pretty good, but it's how
Yeah.
you set yourself up for the fights, right? Is a lot of it.
But I also feel like, you really can't have a weak point, right? I feel like that could be also a problematic part. If you have one player that's really like the bottleneck in terms of fragging, that he doesn't want to take this maybe more aggressive duel, where he isn't that comfortable, because then he's going to be even worse performing, right? So everyone needs to be able to deliver in like a 50-50 or a 40-60 to a certain degree. But ideally this would be the best way to play CS. I think what Vendetta wrote in chat is like, Heroic have been doing it for a few years and hasn't spread yet, so I have limited hope.
But
And
I
feel
think that's because online it wasn't working, right? Well, no, online it was working. Coming to LAN,
but-
it took a while.
Yeah, I also think they need to be, the best team in the world, and then it's more likely to catch up on.
Right.
But I think in theory, just like moving more is better in
Calculated,
theory.
yeah.
Because then the more you move, it's kind of like the tiki-taka concept in like football, right? If you pass and move, then you're essentially almost in two places at the same time, because between the window of like, this guy's here, you move, then he reacts to you being here, but you're no longer there. And that continually, essentially just makes you have more people on the map, because you're moving based on the reactions and the information that happens. But that in theory makes sense, but in practice, it's like, I'm going to make this aggressive play here because I think they're not here, but they're here, and I'm taking a duel that I lose. And now I'm like losing even more than I would potentially could have gained. So it's not that simple to pull off, I think.
And I think you also need the right players, not just skill level, but just versatility. Because like we had to refresh, kind of like explain the heroic system, right? Like where like basically there's the Kaden rule, there's the stun rule, and the other three are basically interchangeable at all times. Like in any given round, you know, sometimes they will, especially on T side, like sometimes it will be Teslas who will be entering, but maybe he's at that time like he has more utility or whatever, and so he's going to be the one throwing, and or like he's just positionally more behind the team at that time, so somebody else will take up that position. And like they will just constantly switch, you know, it's not like very obvious like who's going to run in first at all times and things like this. And for that, you just need to be versatile. You don't need to be ready to do a lot of different things. And that's not every player. Like a lot of players will be specialists to some degree.
But that's key, right? Like, and players have been saying this for years. Like, even with the SK guys, like, yeah, like we don't think that there's hard roles, but it's just the evolution of this, right? And it's everybody understanding as much theory of how the brain trust of this fucking spider web of a team want to function. Like, this happens, this is the reaction, and it's not as simple as that. Like, everybody needs to be reacting in one of multiple different ways. There's no perfect answer, but there's a bunch of answers which are possible, right?
Yeah.
And whether you stick the landing on those answers or not, well, then that'll determine the next response. And that's how high level these guys are playing the game right now. Like back in the day, it used to be, okay, team gets mid control on cash. All right, well, now we're going to pop flash and we're going to take A main. It used to be that rudimentary, but it's a lot more involved now. It's a lot more together. But yeah, it would be nice to see more of this because it's action packed. It's really cool. You can see how quick the penny drops. Oh, that's a B player. Let's rotate. Oh, that's this. The AWP's here. We can exploit this. That's high level Counter-Strike, man. That's high level Counter-Strike. All right. What do we think? Are we done?
We're
Everyone
done.
happy?
Banger, right. 3-hour show.
Yeah. I'm sorry it took so long, but I wanted to get through all of my assets. I spent time doing that. I hope it helped people see the
assets.
I want to give a shout out. Today is Single People Awareness Day. So to 100% of our viewers that are single, shout out to them.
Oh, for Valentine's Day, that was yesterday.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I mean, today is like literally, I heard it on the radio or something. It's like Single Awareness Day.
Okay.
The day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, you know, this is a piece of advice I can give to everybody out there, right? I've lived many years. I've had many bad relationships, mainly because of my own ineptitude. And here's some advice for everybody at home, right? Maybe you are single. Maybe you are, right? But the best way for you to put yourself in a position where you can meet somebody is to know who you are, right? I know this is cliche. I know this is, but when you know, when you get out of bed, what you're going to do within that day is going to make you happy, or it's going to make you fulfilled, or it's going to make you content. That right there is the key, because then when you're doing all these things that make you feel like $1 million, then when somebody comes into your life who can compliment you, right? Who can bring something, can elevate you. They're not there to make you happy. You already need to be happy. And when that person does come into your life, it's going to fit. It's going to feel nice. It's going to elevate you and take you to another level. So I hope that we all find that somebody one day, whoever it may be. But in the meantime, work on the you, because that you can control.
Fuck yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to BitSkins. Thanks to M1Bet. Thanks to SteelSeries. Thanks for everybody for watching. Thanks for Prof for setting up the rage that Harry was DJing over there in Katowice. He was having a great time. Thanks to Striker for bringing SoundCloud into my life. He's made it a whole lot easier. And yeah, let's go to bed. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Finally, I found what I was looking for. Now that my search is over, it's gonna be a tough choice. But fortunately, no need to choose. When you can just have them all. Buy and sell skins on BitSkins.com.
bet, your game.
Here's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Here's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Here's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Good vibe, train.